Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Okay, so we got a lot to cover, folks, and I mean a lot. President Trump wants to make sure all the movies are made in the States, and Canada's not too happy about that. Good. Mark Carney is coming to visit President Trump, and President Trump doesn't know why. And even Howard Lutnick's like, look, I'm looking forward to the meeting. I'm glad I'm in the meeting, but I don't know what they're going to be talking about, what leverage it is. They're a socialistic society that is leveraging off of America. And then Australia, the Labour Party won out of nowhere. Outside of that, Alcatraz, apparently, hey, guys, don't break the law.
Good.
Because some of you may end up in Alcatraz. I mean, you could say, I'm in jail in San Francisco, so at least it's like you're in a rich jail. It's a high quality type of a place with a lot of history, but that's a different type of a thing to brag about. What jail are you at? I'm in Arkansas. That's for broke people, man. I'm in freaking San Francisco, dog. That's where I'm staying at. Anyways, President Trump dismisses again a third term, but the way he does it, it's so prophetic. The way it's just the way to get under her skin. I just love it. We have to play the clip. It's so fun. White House wants Rubio in powerful dual role long term. I even think somebody called him the Howard Lutnick of this, not the Howard Lutnick, the Kissinger of this era. I think it was J.D. Vance. I don't know who it was, but somebody called him the Rubio is the Kissinger of this era. China, there's some stuff that's going on with China that Tom's going to unveil to you guys that you got to see the numbers. By the way, the cartel was asked about how they feel about Trump. The lady's waiting, Vinny's saying this, they're waiting to get like a gotcha moment.
Yeah.
And she did not get it.
Nope.
You should hear what he said about the president. Sean Penn, once great actor in a movie called Mystic River, is now not happy with the president. He says he might destroy the world. Listen, if the president's able to pull that off, you got to respect that.
100%.
But Penn is worried about it.
Yeah, he is.
But he's a dead man walking. We know that.
Ooh.
So, so we'll see what's going to happen there. Trump dismisses Wall Street worries about short-term recession. I think we're going to be doing fantastically. That's a phrase that he used. Bill Ackman says Harvard losing tax exemption is fair game. Trump announces 100% tariffs on movies. We'll talk about that. Netflix and other media stocks tumble on Trump's pledge to hit foreign films with 100% tariffs. Fed's Powell is about to defy Trump and hold rates steady. Apple stock slips as Tim Cook says he's expecting a $900 million Q2 tariff hit. Trump says he will not drop tariffs to get China to a negotiating table. Apparently, China wants to negotiate with them, but they want them to. They said there's a rumor that China is willing to negotiate, but they just want the president to be respectful. I don't know what that really means, but that's apparently what's being talked about. Are politicians too old? California Democrats want to debate an age cap on politicians. I don't think that's going to pass, but they want it. Have you guys been following this new podcast by, what's her name?
My favorite one? Oh, my God.
No, have you seen this new podcast, Her Take?
Oh.
Is outperforming the former First Lady.
I was just going to say
after
Michelle
one episode.
Obama.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jillian, Anna Kasparian, Amy Dangerfield, and Lindy Lee outdid Michelle Obama's first show when it came out on their podcast. But Michelle Obama does have a podcast, and she's not happy. She said it was very expensive to live in a White House as a First Lady.
I thought she was.
Wow. They should invite Michelle Obama on the podcast.
That's challenging. And by the way,
Lindy,
it's challenging to see that. But Michelle Obama on the podcast on Her Take, that would be interesting. So Carney will talk about that. Alberta wants to, some of the people in Alberta want them to completely disconnect from Canada and become their own country. Who knows? Maybe Alberta disconnects from Canada and then Alberta becomes a 51st state. That would be so kind of ideal, right? And like, look, you guys destroy Canada all you want. Some bad news, Grand Theft Auto release was delayed to 2026. I know, Humberto, a lot of people are furious. Humberto took a stress day off, right?
No, he went to start robbing cars and hitting hookers because that's his...
He's not happy.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Former FBI director accuses Kash Patel of party animal lifestyle. And the next thing you know, they had to come back and apologize for what was said. They had to walk back their comments. Dave Portnoy says he's sending culprits behind anti-Semitic sign to Auschwitz to learn about Holocaust. That's what he's doing. A fifth of American adults can't read, folks. So can't read. I'm telling you, it's not our audience, but a fifth of American adults can't read. I'm trying to get the world to read, but Here's how to teach them. We'll talk about that story. And then obviously Kentucky Derby. We had a great time. Sovereignty wins 2025 Kentucky Derby, beating out journalism. Sovereignty beats out journalism. And then we got a couple other stories here.
I had journalism. Who'd you have, Pat?
I actually accidentally bet on sovereignty. Let me tell you, Dylan goes.
Accidentally made $10 million.
Dylan goes and says, "I'd like to put this much money on this horse and this much money on that horse." And she's telling me, so I said, "Okay, but the lady thinks we said 18." So he comes back and says, "I never said that. I said 8." I'm like, Dylan, just leave it. So the one that we accidentally bet on ends up winning. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, no, but you know who
luck,
the guy that had the look in his eyes was Rudolfo. He won
6 horses in a row.
He wins 5, and then Pat goes, he's won 5. And Rudolfo just shows up to the group and goes, I'm betting sovereignty. And we were like, oh, I bet one bet.
He picked one horse, 6 horses straight.
And he won.
The one horse he bet on every time he won, Rodolfo.
Sovereignty was 15.
He got a call from Kentucky Derby. They're hiring
Yeah,
fanatics.
exactly.
He's going to go start
Rain
working
Man out here.
He's done.
Yeah,
So did he actually bet sovereignty in the last?
He
course
did. He bid.
I
That was
thought
his
there
horse.
was drama going on that he didn't actually bet it.
He actually did. He actually did. My daughter bet on sovereignty as well, except she lost her ticket, $400 of winnings.
Stop it.
But now,
Senna?
let me tell you, if you were in the
What
car
was she
leaving,
doing?
she was
Oh,
not
she
so
was
happy
not
about it.
happy.
She was upset at everybody.
Hey, she learned her lesson.
We've all
Save that
lost
ticket.
tickets. Anyways,
Save that
okay.
money.
Gang, let me tell you what announcement we got here. If you are somebody who served in the military, you know how we feel about you. Next week is Armed Forces Day, and we're celebrating folks who were in the military. I was in the Army. Vinny here was in the Air Force. And so we came out with these hats simply because of a lot of people were asking about it. And here's how it looks. It's a Future Looks Bright hat with the sticker. Listen to it.
Oh, I love that.
Awesome?
And then, oh, what?
So you see it says Future Looks Bright, but you get to put the USMC, Future Looks Bright, on there. We have it for Navy, Future Looks Bright. We have it for Army Green,
That's bad.
Future Looks Bright.
I love that.
They're all here. And then we also have the what do you call it? The shirts, Navy, Army, Air Force, Armed Forces that are there. Rob, what else do we have on there? Outside of that, we also have the new Angry Patriot. Vinny, show us what you got there.
So we have the Angry Patriot bucket hat because we're in Florida. It's hot. The weather's going to start changing. Angry Patriot in the front. The Future Looks Bright in the back. And if you get anything, if you get this or you get anything from the Angry Patriot collection, you get a free Angry Patriot mug. And this hat is ridiculous.
That's pretty sick, by the way.
I love it. No,
That
I
is
love
thing
very,
on, Vinny.
very sick.
Put that thing on, buddy.
And FYI,
Yeah.
outside of that, you're going to get dog tags, vitamin dog tags that say outwork, out-strategize, out-improve, and outlast for every order you place. But more importantly, we just want to say thank you to your service for everyone that served. I got a call from a guy yesterday telling me, he says, Pat, I'm out of the country in Europe. I'm wearing my Future Looks Bright hat. I'm poolside. And he says, one by one, everybody would look at me and they would say, hey, I know that. I know who that is. The community is getting bigger and bigger.
Hell yeah.
We want millions of people. It starts off with the first million. We want 1 million people wearing the Future Looks Bright gear. If you're somebody that loves this brand and you're optimistic about the future, go sport this Future Looks Bright. And if you know somebody that's a vet who watches the podcast, watches Vitamin, get them this as a gift and send it to them. They'll be very happy that you did that. Okay. All right. So let's go through a couple things. First story I want to get into, Rob. Let's start off with the Hollywood story. The president is obviously not too happy with what's going on with Canada. And he comes out of nowhere and starts talking about what's going on with Hollywood and what he's planning on doing with tariffs of people who are wanting to make movies outside of the States. I have the video here, but Rob, why don't we play the video and then I'll read the story. Go for it.
The movie tariffs.
Yeah, the movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week. And we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen. So I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And
we can pause that, Rob. By the way, do you realize him saying that privately Ben Affleck watches that and says, good.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so that's one. Two, Rob, can you go to the Twitter, to his X that he put up or Truth Social that he put up? Because he breaks it down fully on there. I don't know if you have it or not. If you have it, I'll let you look for it.
It's just Trump said something about it?
Yeah, he said so. U.S. President Trump announces 100%. There it is. The movie industry in America is dying in a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the U.S. Hollywood and many other areas within the U.S. are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the U.S. Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. By the way, who was it that said we don't do movies here anymore? We go to Ireland or we go to...
It was two podcasts. It was Rob Lowe.
It was Rob Lowe and who was
an
the other
actor
one?
from Parks and Rec. He was the brother from Step Brothers.
And they said that the fact that they make movies out abroad because it's too expensive here.
He goes, yeah, Rob, I put it in Slack somewhere like deep in, earlier in this time. If you just go to X and put Rob Lowe movies, Hollywood, he's basically saying it's cheaper for us to get a 100-man crew.
So they may not be happy about this, though.
Who, though? The
Rob Lowe.
Well, I mean, he doesn't want to fly overseas. This is it right here.
Interesting that you shoot the floor there. It's cheaper to bring 100 American people to Ireland than to walk across the lot at Fox. Right. Past the sound stages and do it there. Crazy. Do you think if we shot Parks right now, we would be in Budapest?
Pause it right there.
We would.
Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, why is it so expensive to walk across the lot at Fox and shoot a movie?
Taxes in California,
Probably
Tom?
the unions.
Taxes and unions.
No, but Tom, but hang on a second, Tom. This is my question. This is what I want clarity on. Okay, I got it. It's more expensive to walk across Fox. But Ireland, why not Austin? Why not Atlanta? Why not another place in the U.S.? Why do you have to go to Ireland? So you mean there's not other places cheaper in America that's cheaper than Hollywood for us to shoot?
Well, so this is how it works. You go to Ireland, and Ireland looks at a stack of money.
Yeah.
And they say, some of this we might have to give out in the winter as unemployment benefits. So rather than spend it on unemployment benefits, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we give like 25% of it to a movie production company, and then they're going to pay a bunch of Irish people who are in the industry to be a grip, a cameraman, because we got people over here doing that.
Of course, set
and they do that. Now, they're going to bring their talent because there's not an Irish Brad Pitt. They're going to bring all the stars. But you know what? Let's do that. And that's an economic incentive. And suddenly now Hollywood looks at it and says, wow, if we got this incentive and then we pay people this, we could afford to fly them over there and stay in low-cost Irish hotels and stuff. And, we could film this. Now, if you're doing something like Highlander and things like this, great. You could go film it in Ireland. If you're going to do Weekend at Bernie's, you need to be in the Bahamas or Hawaii, right? But
so here's what I just did.
The incentives is what tips the scale.
I just asked this question. I said, why are movies cheaper to make in Ireland than in America? Forget about how expensive California is to shoot, but why not in other states in America? And look what it says. Take that exact question and put it on there. Put it in ChatGPT and watch what comes out. So this is what we zoom in. Ireland offers something called a Section 481, a film tax credit of up to 32% on eligible Irish product costs.
That's what I just described.
It applies to domestic and international production and includes local labor, and some foreign costs. Favorable currency exchange rates, U.S. dollars go further than euros. In post-production, low rates, government-backed production support. Ireland's government actively supports the film industry with bodies like Screen Ireland providing funding and location service production. Smaller fishing crews, Irish crews are highly skilled but work with leaner staff models. Less regulation, that's a big one. Fewer permits, more flexible labor laws, and smoother logistics reduce delay, costs, compact. So, Rob, then maybe ask the question, compared to other states, okay, so that's the one I was looking at.
And the unions have guarantees. They guarantee
here or there.
Here, the unions also have. It's not just the labor cost, Pat. It's that every production will have 3 grips, and 2, construction guys, and 3 painters. They have minimums. So if you need something painted on the set, you have to hire 3 painters, or you need 3 grips, and those are the staff guarantees. So in addition to being more expensive, they're guaranteeing the size of staff. And over in Ireland, it just said they're leaner and smaller staffs.
Rob, can you ask the question, what is the equivalent of Ireland in America? What is the equivalent of Ireland in America? You're going to be fine. It'll correct it.
Boston.
Of Ireland in America. In regards to taxes, so let's see what it says. Georgia's going to be one. They offer up to 30% taxes, 20% base, 10% including Georgia logo and credits.
A lot of people go to Georgia.
So that's that. Skill crew base. So Tyler Perry Studio is in Georgia. Diverse filming location. Okay, then you have New Mexico, Louisiana, and North Carolina. So I guess those two states, if we're talking 32% in Ireland, if we're talking 32% in tax credit in Ireland, why don't some of these states take that model and apply it? Now, here's the thing. I don't know if Florida wants Hollywood to come down here. They've always been a little bit hesitant. Mm-hmm. And the reason for it is because if Hollywood comes to your state, guess who's coming? Liberals are coming to your state.
Of course.
Yeah. So do you want that? So there's also part of the risk where wherever Hollywood goes, they destroy that city.
1,000%.
You know, Hollywood used to be in New Jersey at first. Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison ran Hollywood in New Jersey. And so over-regulation, eventually they're like, we're getting the hell out of here. They went to Burbank. Mm-hmm. And I watched what happened to Burbank and Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Now they're getting the hell out of there. So no matter where you move them, guess who goes there?
The liberals.
Yeah, so I don't know. The fact that he's doing this to hurt a business like Canada. Rob, can you type in while you're doing it? I'm going to go to Adam. Why is Canada a destination for movie makers? Go ahead, Adam. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to a couple of things to me. Tax incentives, we understand that. I think you mentioned Atlanta. I think New Orleans is one of the cities that also does that. Albuquerque, New Mexico. I even think Chicago. People are trying to save that money. So you have tax incentives. I understand that. You also have lower production costs. Why are all the jobs shipped to China? Because it doesn't cost a lot of money to make things. So you ship it out to other countries. So, but the other thing is that I want you guys to weigh in on is the different locations of where you need to shoot. So
sets, look, yeah.
Not even so much sets and look. So like, here's a quick little list for you. So I'm not sure if this protectionism is probably the best thing. It might be a situation where you cut off your nose to spite your face. So here's some of our favorite movies. And you can guess where they were filmed. How about that? PBD, some of your favorite movies. Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart. What country were those movies filmed in?
Scotland?
Ireland. Not bad. Should have been Scotland, actually. Titanic. Mexico. Random. Why Mexico?
Well, the water a lot.
I thought it was going to be Montana.
No.
Keep going.
Where was Harry Potter filmed? The UK.
Guy.
Of course.
So Lord of the Rings, it was in New Zealand. The Matrix was in Australia. So all of our favorite movies were filmed somewhere because of locations, because of diversity. Passion of the Christ. Take a guess where that was filmed.
New Mexico.
Not New Mexico, buddy. Old Mexico, a.k.a. Rome, and even a little bit in Israel. So you have to understand, like, some movies you're going to have to travel the world to get to. But what's my point? Hire American workers to come in those shoots. So the idea of like, drop out protectionism, I don't want, all right, I get it. I see what you're saying. You're trying to protect American industries. But forget about American industries. Let's protect American workers. So in that clip, we said it's cheaper to bring 100 American workers to Ireland. I get that. But bring the workers so they can make money.
Because I have family that are, like, I have my cousins and I have a lot of people that are affected and aren't working because of this exact thing. Like, life is really it's not good in California right now, especially for those guys.
Yeah, I think my position on this, we've done a few videos on this where we did a deep dive on what's going on, the history of Hollywood, all the new stuff that they're coming up with, how to get an Oscar and all that shit that they came up with where people are like, I'm done. I don't even give a shit about what's going on. I don't know if this approach helps the creative industry. I don't know. I don't know if this approach helps the creative, because creatives are what? They're overly sensitive, and they have to be able to go anywhere, and they can't be in a box. So I don't know if this works with the creatives. I think it's the other way. Instead of like imposing a tariff to hurt them, I think the incentive should be the other way around for the movie industry. Something like Georgia's doing, especially if you want that market. I don't know if you want that market. Some states may not want that market. So I understand why Florida doesn't want Hollywood to come to Florida. They're like, nah, we'll get other people. You take that out of our state. Let them go to Austin and destroy Austin. Let them go to Burbank and destroy Burbank. Let them go to Atlanta and destroy Atlanta. You don't need to come over here. I understand that part as well. But what if he changed the incentive where instead of these guys going to Canada, you come over here, we're giving you certain incentives. And what if some states say, you know what? Like, you know how many, many years ago, Walt Disney was known as a kook. He was crazy. So when he went to Orlando and wanted to buy up land, they didn't want him to move Disney World to Orlando. Remember? So he opened up Disneyland first, I believe. Then he opened up Disney World, if I'm not mistaken. So when they found out what happened to Disneyland, Florida's land, we don't want Disney over here. I think, fact check me there, because I think it was Disneyland before Disney World. So when he started going, Disneyland came first. So Disneyland came first, became big. Then 16 years later, Disney World comes out.
Not even close.
Do you know how he how he built Disney World?
No.
How do you do it?
He bought land under other people's names.
Oh.
So Orlando didn't know that he was trying to build Disney World in Orlando.
Gangster.
So who knows? If somebody wants to take a city like Orlando, what was Orlando in 1970? Nothing.
Yeah.
Go, Rob. Can you
Horse country, buddy.
type in Orlando 1970?
Man, it was just near
pictures of
Ocala.
Orlando 1970.
Horse country.
Orlando 1970 pictures.
Not much going on, Papa.
Let me see that. I mean, look.
There it is. Look at that.
That lake looks pretty good.
Clean.
Sure, gators and
Lake
like,
Okeechobee.
crocodiles.
Kissimmee.
Anyways, Tom, final thoughts before we move on from the story.
My curiosity is the president's tariff request just the movie industry, or it's also post-production? Because post-production blends with video game development. Post-production and video game development are very, very similar these days.
That's a good point.
And by the way, check this out.
Yeah.
Movie industry global, $73 billion. That's the global movie industry.
Yeah.
Video game industry, how big is that?
200 billion?
Probably way more because there's a lot of nerds sitting around doing nothing.
282.
282.
Yep.
And most of it is the back end. And matter of fact, video game development companies do a lot of posts. So my question is, why don't I'm with you, Pat. Why don't other states do things to equalize it? Number one, but we've talked about that. But number two, far bigger is what's going on with video games, because there's a lot of jobs that go outside the United States. Vancouver has a giant base, which would also be post-production video game, and Montreal is an economic incentive zone in middle Montreal, and there's a little tiny bit in Toronto, but actually not tiny, but Vancouver, one of the largest studios for EA. Madden football was made in Vancouver, my understanding.
Quick question for PBD. For the families out there, the parents out there. Tom just talked about video games. I know you were part of Jam Dad, everything with that.
I'm talking about post-production as it relates to the movie industry and the talent. There's a ton of that in Canada.
Copy that, Pat. Tom, do you let your kids play video games whenever they want? What's your protocol of video games? Because I have a stance on video games. I think it ruins kids if they do too much of it. How do you handle this?
Listen, so I found out from Humberto that the world is furious because this game, where's that game, Rob? That Grand Theft Auto was supposed to come out early, and now they're saying it's not going to be coming out to 2026. What page is that on, Rob?
Page 12.
How are these kids going to survive with Grand Theft Auto 2024?
So it's not going to be coming out till 2020, Grand Theft Auto. Apparently it's like a $1 billion video game drop. It's going to be the biggest drop of all time when it comes down to a video game. This Grand Theft Auto, now they're saying it's going to be May 26th of 2025 from its fall 2025 release, causing shares to drop nearly 7%. We support fully Rockstar Games taking additional time to realize their creative vision for Grand Theft Auto. Is it 11? What is that? What is V1? God. V1 is what? Is V1
version
6?
1? I don't know.
No.
6.
No. Which promises to be groundbreaking blockbuster entertainment experience. The delay pushes the game into fiscal 2027, impacting booking expectation, though.
Wow.
Take-Two expectation sequential increases in net bookings for fiscal 2026. Grand Theft Auto franchise Take-Two's crown jewel saw Grand Theft Auto 5 sold over 200 million copies since 2013. Damn.
Oh, my God.
Making it one of the best-selling video games ever. The first GTA trailer releases December 7th. The female lead drawn more than 100 million views in 24 hours. Okay. So, for
what
me...
are these nerds going to do without this updated video game? I feel so bad for them.
It is a big industry. For us...
But what do you do with your kids?
Listen, my son has a 79 in one of his grades. He hasn't played a single second of video game for the last 5 weeks.
Good.
If you have AC, you don't get any video games in the house.
I love that.
One, okay? So if you and summer's coming here, by the way, if you go into the summer or Christmas with a C, you're not playing for summer, you're not playing for 3 months. And Tom's seen it, and Vinny's seen it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a straight up. So for us, there's standards. And if then that means you have to read you have to watch documentaries every day, certain books you got to go through. But no. What did Ray Lewis say at the birthday party? Ray Lewis said, back in the days, parents used to do what with their kids? Remember when he said it was about love and something, and now we just hand them over a phone. He says, what did he say? Do you remember what he said in his speech?
Yeah, he was talking about love. He was talking about respect.
These phones are basically raising these kids.
He says, now all we're doing is hand them over the phone. You're like, hey, here's a phone for you. No, I think it's a tragedy. I think it's a mistake. I think adults are falling for it, let alone kids. So for me, you just got to create. A guy messaged me yesterday, a guy named Taylor. He knows who he is with Kingston. Good guy. And he says, hey, how do you get your kids to lock it in and keep reading the books and not play the video games? I said, it's not easy to do. It's a discipline that the father needs to keep. And unless if you change the incentives, nothing's going to change about it.
You show them the Wedding Crashers, and they say, you lock it up. No, you lock it up. No, you lock it up.
By the way,
that's what needs to happen.
You and Rob have some sick shoes on today, dog. You guys look good. Look at Rob's shoes. Those on cloud, man. Freaking amazing. All right, let's go to the next one. We had an idea last week thinking about sending Adam to Alcatraz, and then Trump came up with the idea.
Yeah.
So Trump orders Alcatraz prison be reopened for the dregs of society, and people lost their mind. And by the way, when he says this? He says this while Roger Goodell is standing right behind him. Can you imagine Roger Goodell's like, dude, you could have chosen any other story but this one. But go ahead, Rob, play this clip.
It represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know, the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems.
What the hell is he talking about?
Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz. It just represented something
He's saying, don't laugh.
Strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now, it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. You look at it, it's sort of, you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing. But it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point.
You mean?
Listen,
Tom.
Look at who's that? Is that the mayor?
I'm going to go to Tom first. I don't know who she is, but she's just sitting there saying.
Is she a mayor for something?
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I think the great troller strikes again. He's talking to somebody. You don't always know who Trump's talking to, but he's talking to somebody here. And people are losing their mind. And I think he does that. And I think sometimes he does that on a Monday because he's got something he's going to do on Tuesday, and he wants everybody to be running over. Look over here. Look over here. And so I think that's what's going on. I mean, Alcatraz, it would be god-awful expensive to retrofit it and to build it again and to do everything.
Do you think it's worth doing? Do you think you should do it?
No. It's a museum now, and you don't need to preserve the museum. But if you look out there, we understand the thought that they had at the time they did it, but it would be way
So you think it's a bad idea?
Do I think it's a bad idea
Rob,
to have a prison like Alcatraz? Do I think it's a bad idea to have the Leavenworths and the Alcatrazes? No, I don't. Because I think there needs to be fear in criminals. I don't want to go there. Vinny,
your thoughts on this?
Well,
troll. Is there any ounce of seriousness in this? Adam, turn off your lights. I think
there's a slight seriousness, but at the same token, anything to piss off the left, Pat. When you were on Jesse Waters just said, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But at the same token, it's like, hey, the left is furious. They're still talking about it. CNN was talking about it last night. Abby Phillips, Scott Jennings, Batia Sargon, she was on there. as well. They're still talking about it, and the left is furious with due process and how, you know what? Open it up. This is giving them a solution. Prisons, open up a prison and put these people in there. These murdering, rapists, drug dealer, illegals. Guess what? If you knew that that's the option, besides going to El Salvador, you're going to be put into that prison that's surrounded by trucks, and you know you're not getting out. Good.
Take the $1,000, whip out the app, get out.
Get the hell out
Guys,
of here.
1.2 to 1.6 million go there every year. $60 million in revenue this thing generates.
Okay.
There's small businesses locally that purely rely on this. Is it worth him turning this and activating this jail again? Adam?
No, this is absurd. And I have some videos of when I went to Alcatraz a few years ago. This would have been in 2019, I believe. But listen, with Trump, you have to take what he says with a grain of salt. So the best advice I can give to anybody out there who just follows every Trump word, whether you love him or whether you dislike him, is watch what he does. Don't listen to what he says. Because if you listen to what he says and go down the rabbit hole of we're building Alcatraz, oh my God. So if you show that video of Alcatraz, you could see it. The second video, it is dilapidated. It is falling apart. It is not anything that is even, I think it closed in 1960. I think it opened in the 1850s. It was open for 100 years. It had famous criminals like Al Capone. I think the original Machine Gun Kelly, not the one who paints his nails. It is deeply, deeply run down. And this is something that is so manufactured. It's like Pat says all the time, look over here and don't avoid what's going over here. I think it's an absolute just sort of non-starter, and I see this going nowhere.
But maybe Adam, maybe it should be just, I don't run down or whatever. If you're here illegally and you murder or rape or do something like that to an American citizen, what do they need, 5-star accommodations?
Do you think there's a shortage of jails in America?
Yes, there actually is.
No, there's actually not.
No,
we have more
our jails are filled
than any. Exactly,
and they're filled. You need more jails.
And maybe we need to stop jailing
Rob,
people who are convicted
our jails
of,
overcrowded in the
little
United States.
Crimes like weed or small little things.
I'm not talking about weed.
And
I'm talking about
really.
No, I'm talking about illegals.
Penalize the worst of the worst of the
challenge
worst.
we have with our jails is we have too many inmates. We have 100,000 more people in prisons in America than all of China. And China's population is 1.5 billion.
Yeah, there's a jail and prison capacity crisis. So guess what?
And there's also,
open a new one.
And jails are also a business.
Well, we can't ship them. We can't ship
jails
all of El Salvador.
This is such a slippery slope that we're talking about.
I love it.
We need to get people out of jails and rehabilitated, and not just throw the book at them. And then what's it called when you return to jail? What's the word?
Recidivation rate.
Great word.
Man, I can't even say that word.
Very high.
And like you get out of jail and then just go right back in.
It's a training ground.
Yeah.
But here's my question is this though. These illegals, but remember that word, that the left is fighting for and flying over to go see. Do you understand when they go through the courts, how many they have to go to court and over with our money and all this public defender? No, that's bullshit. Put them, if you're here illegally and you're murdering and killing people, good.
Nobody's arguing that people that murder and kill and rob and
they're
rape
here.
should go to jail. Nobody's arguing that.
Where are you
it's
gonna
whether
put
they
them?
should go to Alcatraz.
Well, where would you put them?
You know what? It turns out they found tons of places to put them.
No, not tons.
By the way,
setting up to
is
El
Guantanamo
Salvador.
Bay still operating?
What base?
Guantanamo Bay, Gitmo.
Of course it is.
Is it still
I
operating?
think it's still.
That's
We're trying to have
full
a place
too,
of the worst
tourists.
of the worst of the worst.
They got tourists.
Well,
in
here's
there.
the question: why do we have so many more prisoners in the United States than anywhere else in the world? Why is that a thing, PBD? You've done a breakdown of this, right?
Why do we have more?
Yeah.
It's a business model. It's very profitable. And there's a lot of people that rely on that business. But the unfortunate thing is once you go in, you're getting an MBA on crime from everybody else that's in there. So when you get out, you're picking up ways to make money even in more creative ways. So you go out, you commit another crime, and you come back in, you go out, you come back in, that's the whole
Recidivism.
Recidivation rate.
So, but no, I don't know. There's a part of me when I think about this, I like, and there's a part of me to put the fear of what it looks like. I mean, look, if you think about what Bukele did, what's Bukele's business model? Maybe the president is sitting there realizing he can't send U.S. inmates, criminals to, what do you call it, to
El Salvador.
El Salvador. So if you can't do that, the business model works. Build a place to scare the crap out of everybody.
Yep.
And guess what? Alcatraz scared the crap out of a lot of people. You know, and that story about the myth with the shark and all this other stuff, you know, if there isn't, you know, some of it they say it's a myth, some of it they say it's real. The water's super cold. Sharks are attracted to cold. There's 3 different types of sharks that are around Alcatraz, but it's super cold water. I don't know. If it is true that you're seeing what happened to El Salvador to clear up the crime, and you record who's living in Alcatraz and how terrible it is, that's a great advertisement. Go ahead and commit a crime, see what we do to you. Do it, I dare you. Go do something to an underage kid. See where we put you and see what we do to you. Okay, make an example of it. In that sense, I get it. How serious I think he is about this? I think it's 5%. I don't think he's that serious about it. I think it's just another thing that he's trying to get under the liberal skin, and every single time he just succeeds. Every time he knows how to do it. Here's the next story. Trump says he will not drop tariffs to get China to a negotiating table. He will not drop tariffs to get China to the negotiating table. U.S. President Trump in an NBC Meet the Press interview with host Kristen Welker refused to drop tariffs to bring China to a trade talk, stating, no, when asked if he would ever lower them, and adding, at some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you would never do business with them. He claimed China's getting killed right now with their factories closing and unemployment going through the roof, asserting his tariffs are devastating China's economy. Trump defended his tariff strategy, arguing it benefits large industries, telling Welker the car industry are going to make a fortune, and citing multi-billion-dollar investment from companies like Toyota, Honda, General Motors, Stellantis, and Apple to build U.S. plants. Is this the one, Rob, that we're talking about?
Yes. So it's separated into 2 clips. The first clip is him talking about not lowering the tariffs. The second one is him talking about the benefits on the auto industry. Which one would you prefer?
Play both of them.
Okay.
Play both of them.
Here's the first one.
You're not dropping the tariffs against China to get them to the negotiating table. Those tariffs are staying on.
Why would I do
Would
that?
you lower them?
At some point, I'm going to lower them because otherwise you could never do business with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do business very much. Look, their economy is really doing badly. Their economy is collapsing.
And here's the auto tariffs.
So small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you
Look at the
considering
automobile
tariff
business.
relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what Trump's done for the automobile, I can't believe it. I assume he's going to probably now say, the next thing he can say is, I endorse this guy. He's the greatest I've ever seen. He can't believe it's happened. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Well, I'm just asking you about small businesses. Are there any discussions about giving any relief to small businesses?
They're not going to need it.
Okay.
They're going to make so much money.
Are these tariffs?
If you build your product here. Remember, there are no tariffs if you build your product here. It's very easy. It's very simple.
Pause right there. Tom, thoughts?
Well, one thing the president's really right about, and the mainstream media is not talking about it, but I found an article in the Wall Street Journal, and there's a couple writers for the Journal that I happen to like. One of them I like because of the quality of his work, and he's very numbers-oriented. So they pointed out, how bad is China's economy? Well, in the fourth quarter of 23, they suddenly stopped releasing data on certain things. For instance, I'll show you this. China's unemployment for ages 16 to 24. We see here, there it is. Keep going, Rob. Rob's got the article. Fantastic. Unemployment, keep one more, so people can see it. No, that's not sale. One more. There it is. Watch this, Pat. So the unemployment rate for people 16 to 24, China is releasing it. Adam, look at this. Tell me what you think. All of a sudden, the data stops toward the end, in the middle of 2023. Why does it stop? It stops because the line was crossing 20%. The unemployment rate for people 16 to 24 in China is over 20%. And similarly, they showed the number of people in urban areas who are receiving China's equivalent of unemployment benefits. You can go one more chart there. One more chart. No, go back up. Well, he's getting that unemployment benefits. One more there.
Right there. Unemployed insurance benefits.
That's it. All of a sudden, the number of people is heading toward 3 million. Look at those numbers going up. That's the effect that the rest of the world had on COVID when they couldn't buy stuff and they were locked up. So China is suppressing its stats so that the rest of the world cannot see what's going on. And Trump is correct that the Chinese economy, specifically the real estate industry and unemployment among the youth and people getting welfare in big cities is rising. Unemployment is now over 20% for those people 16 to 24. So Trump is correct. China's economy is in a tough spot. However, when you have a government that really doesn't care about its people and a government says, oh, we're playing the long game includes incredible misery and hardship on the inside of its country, and yet it doesn't let everybody see it. And thank you to the Wall Street Journal for digging up all this stuff where the data stops. They stop releasing data to the rest of the world, so it cannot be used to negotiate with them or against them. But it's bad.
Adam.
So the question is what? Should we decouple from China? Are these tariffs working? Are there reciprocal tariffs working? We imposed 140%. I think they hit back at 125%. Is the question whether this is a good deal or a bad deal? I guess what's the question that we're solving for right now?
Well, Trump said China's economy was in trouble, and if you make point one, point two, he said the American auto industry, including the unions, are going to thank him. And I think Ford CEO Jim Farley was already saying, hey, I may have to update my my guidance for the year and my revenue and my profit, but I make more here than anybody else. And I think we're ultimately going to be a win. And then the unions allegedly have now come out and said, you know, this does help our union workers.
Are you really asking what is the question?
So I'm trying to
understand. After a minute and a half us talking about it, you're saying, what's the question?
That's not what I asked.
We just said, so Trump says he will not drop tariffs to come to get China to the negotiating table. If you have thoughts, if you want us to clarify it, it's what do you think about it? Is that a good strategy? Will China come to the table? Should U.S. lower the tariffs to go to the... What are your thoughts? If you don't have thoughts, you don't have thoughts.
No, that's not what
I'll
I
give
said.
my
I
thoughts
do
on
have
this.
thoughts. Go
okay,
ahead.
so go ahead.
All
what are
right.
your thoughts on it?
There was multiple points here that he made.
Then
so
make your... Just give
I
me feedback
will,
on all of them.
I will. Okay, so, I mean, before you ask me what's my point, I wanted you to know what you think I should talk about. But the point is, I think China is going to not come to the table anytime soon. Why? Because they have no problem treating their people like absolute crap. And they're preparing their people for winter. They're basically saying, Game of Thrones style, winter is coming. We have no plans of negotiating with the U.S. anytime soon. Why? Because Trump is going to be out of office in the next 4 years. Who knows if he's doing his 2028 song and dance? Doubt it. When is Xi's term up? Never. So we need to be prepared in the United States for Xi to be here for a long time and for these Chinese tariffs to basically have to be dealt with. Now, at the same time, I'm not defending Chinese tariffs. China needs to be dealt with. They're stealing everything, intellectual IP theft. They're deflating their currency. They need to be dealt with. Everything that happened during COVID, I'm no fan of what's going on in China. But we have 4-year terms and they've got lifetime terms. So, you know, there's something called made in America. What percentage of products are made in America versus made around the world? 10% of products are apparently made in America versus 90% of sourced products come from around the world. So if we think we're just going to flip a switch and just everything's going to get made in America real quickly, I doubt that. China, 10 years ago, had a mantra. You know this, PBD. It was called what? Made in China 2025. What freaking year are we in? 2025. China's been preparing for this trade war for over a decade. So is Trump right in taking on China? Yes. Do I think this is going to be an easy battle and China is just going to bow to the United States? Highly doubt that. That's my point.
Well, I just, you know what it reminds me of? You know what China reminds me of? Remember Maximus in the end of Gladiator, where Commodus, Joaquin Phoenix, stabs him, but he's out there and he's still fighting, and you don't know that he's been stabbed, and he's acting like everything's okay. That's China right now. Tom, you just named everything that's happening with them. Everything's falling apart, but they're up there and they're acting tough. I think to fight, Adam, to go against that beast, that you're talking about, that empire, we don't hold back. You go 100% because at the end of the day, it's a trade war. We're at war with these people, and we don't let up on them. If we're going to have that adjustment, Pat, that's what we have to do.
Tom.
Well, Adam, China has backed down, like ethane, which is a petrochemical, which leads to the production of plastic. They dropped their 125% tariff, and then when questioned by Reuters, they said the official declined the comment due to the sensitivity of the matter.
Yeah.
So why did they go from 125% tariff on ethane down to 0? Because they had to. It's a blink. But they won't talk about it, and it was not announced publicly. It happened over a weekend. Gee, why would it happen over a weekend, Adam? It's because they don't want the U.S. They don't want CNBC to pick up on it. So they're starting to blink in little ways. Are they formidable? Am I worried about things that they could do? Damn right I am. But they are blinking, and their internal economy sucks.
Here's the thing that they both have a very strategic mindset, but a dark mindset. Let me explain. Imagine you have a leader's bulletin where you're playing a game of football, okay? And one team, you know the score. The other team, you don't know the score. So it's like, okay, how bad are they doing? We don't know. One team's got 28 points. Are they ahead? No, we don't know. We don't know what the other team is doing. Can we know their score? No. Why? Because it's not being reported. What do you mean we can't know the score of where they're at? We're just not reporting it. Okay, so what's the benefit about being a private company versus a public company? What happens when you're a publicly traded company? Everybody knows everything that's going on with the company. You have to report it. You took public money. So a publicly traded company, there's conference calls that you can jump on, shareholder conference calls, and they'll say, here's what's going on. The CEO will talk. Maybe the CFO will talk, and they'll tell you why their numbers are lower. The expectation for Q2 and all this other. America is a publicly traded company. China is a private company, which means what data do we have of China? Whatever they tell us. If they don't tell us anything, what do we know about them? We know nothing. So China can say, how are things? Oh, we're killing it. Yeah, you're killing the job market. Yeah, you're killing the job market for the youth. But guess what? Our social media companies are not there, so we can't get the videos. Their social media companies are not here, so we don't know what they're reporting on. You know, they can't communicate with us. Their people can't communicate out to release anything that's going on with them, or else they can get arrested. Any of that data, and if Jack Ma used to be a guy that we used to watch every week, there was something on Jack Ma. Jack Ma just said this. Jack Ma just said this. When's the last time you heard anything from Jack Ma?
Nothing.
Why would he? See, that's the thing with China.
He was on vacation.
China will make if God forbid you leak anything, like loose lips. You know the mob side that loose lips sink ships. In China, if you have loose lips, you go and disappear.
Oh, yeah.
You disappear. Your wealth disappears. Everything disappears. So what's the point? We have to believe whatever they tell us. What's your unemployment rate? Our unemployment rate's been 0.2%. Everybody has a job. They're all doing well. Says who? Says we. Oh, who comes up with the report? Who audited it? Nobody. Us, the Chinese government. Oh, so we have to believe it. Oh, our economy is on fire. It's so good. Yeah, it's on fire, but the bad kind of fire, not the good kind of fire, right? So that's the part that we don't know. But this is what came out a couple weeks ago. China open to talks if U.S. shows respect. That's what they want. They want U.S. to show respect. And Trump can't do that if he wants to. But Trump is going to sit there and say, look, I'll give you respect if you want, but I'm not giving you anything else with all the hundreds of billions of dollars that we've lost with you. So they have a very different mindset of thinking. They're kind of cornered right now because if anything's released from China, if anything dark happens with China, everyone's going to know this time around they're not going to second guess it. There's not going to be a Nancy Pelosi in Chinatown saying, leave the Chinese alone. This virus didn't come from China. No, call it the China virus because it came from China. Do you remember those days where every day we have to hear about China virus? Stop being, and then Chinese people were like, you have to stop saying that. That's racist. And you're talking, no, I'm just saying it because it came from China. Matter of fact, Rob, can you find that clip? I can't watch that clip enough where the lady says, I'm offended with your saying China virus. If you just type in China virus Trump.
Oh, it was a press conference.
It was a press conference. Yeah, it was press, and that's the one. That's the lady right there. It's the lady right there. Watch this one, okay? Watch.
calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country.
Stop it.
Your own
You're part of the
Secretary
problem, lady.
Azar says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
Accurate.
And I wanted to ask you, because while you were saying that, if you say anything, if you open your mouth, you disappear. Rob, I just sent you something. I'm going to ask you to play it. It might be long, Rob. You could probably speed it up if we have to. But Pat, where are the deflectors? Where are the defectors? Where are the people that are there? I understand they're under a regime and their life is. Can't any of them open their mouth, come here, we'll give them some type of protection or something? We want to know what's happening. Did you see that this is the CIA release? Because we need these people to come here, right? We want some information. The CIA released a video to encourage the Chinese to rebel against their government. John Ratcliffe even talked about it, and this is China responded with its own video, and it's short and sweet, basically saying that we will. What? Did you see this, Tom?
Which one you want him to play?
I think, Rob, this is openly trying to recruit defectors. I think this is the one, Rob. I'm going to send you this one. But basically what I'm saying is that shouldn't some of these people come out and say, hey, listen, this is what's happening. Give us some protection. We'll come here. We'll let you know.
This one?
This is the CIA openly trying to recruit.
Watch it.
在党内，我一边往上升，一边看着比我职位高的人一个个被弃入碧绿。但现在我意识到。
This is us making it for them?
Yeah, ex-CIA.
The United States Central Intelligence Agency is attempting to lure Chinese officials and workers to spy for Washington. On May 1st, the CIA released 2 polished videos in Mandarin aiming to tap into discontent with the Chinese Communist Party.
Trying to get some people.
The short films depict a senior CCP official and a junior government worker with access to classified information. Both become disillusioned with China's leadership and ultimately approach the CIA. After Beijing purged senior officials and military leaders in swift anti-corruption campaigns, the CIA is hopeful that its efforts will encourage senior officials to turn on their own country.
And it's out there. It's public. They posted it on X.
Let it keep going.
Go.
The CIA also provided dark web contact information for those willing to respond to its call for espionage. According to a CIA official, the US is not only seeking counterintelligence, but also information on advanced science, military and cyber technology, economic data, and China's foreign policy secrets.
Wow, they're out in the open asking for it. In my mind, I was just like, hey, where are some of these people that would come here and give us the real information of what's happening?
What do you think about that, Tom?
I think this is good. I mean, if they're going to spy on us, we're going to spy on them. And you know, the part that's you got to remember in their media. Think about their media. Their media uses the phrase there was a public disturbance and they were led away. And you find the Chinese translation of led away. Yeah, led away to where? Jack Ma was led away to some 2-year vacation we didn't know about. And then he suddenly shows up again and he's saying less about it and everything. Oh, maybe he was in Tokyo for 2 years. Well, if he was having a very quiet time in Tokyo. What you're showing me here, I think this is great. This is what our government should be doing. If the rules are different in China, then we also need to look. This is defense. This is like military. You know, you had so many nuclear warheads, Russia. We've got even bigger, badder nuclear warheads. You're going to recruit people to spy and things like tricking Eric Swalwell with the
Christine Fang
with the money honey and getting information out of him. Guess what? We're going to do it too.
Well. There's a word that keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, and that word is fairness. You know, fair trade, free trade. What's the difference with that? You know, one of the words that your core tenets of your family was also tolerance, right? Which you basically dropped. You're like, no, we got to stop being so tolerant. So it's almost like free trade. These countries out there are basically saying free trade for me, but closed borders for thee. It's a two-way street here. So I do understand what Trump is doing. I advocate for what Trump is doing. I just think it's going to take a long time. And I think people are going to pay the price. Open markets for me is what these countries are saying, but closed borders for thee. Speaking of tolerance, so Jack Ma, you know, he says something, he disappears. How many other Jack Ma's do we not know about? We don't know all these people's names. How many people go missing? You know, in America, we have the luxury of criticizing whoever we want for the most part, unless you get censored. But you disappear in China. So there's a price to pay right there. Also, technology. Their social media apps can come here. Their tech companies, Alibaba, Jack Ma's company, come here. We can't operate in China. You said this the other day, I think, on Jesse Waters. By the way, Russia, just as an example, they can have media over here. RT, we've seen we can't operate in Russia.
Gone, isn't it?
Well, even also, if you take it another thing with tolerance, this might offend some people out there. For my friends in the Middle East and for Islam, why can you operate and bring your methodology and ideology to America and all around the world, anywhere you want, into any country in the EU, into the United States? But good luck operating a church or a synagogue in Saudi Arabia or in Syria. So there's a storyline here. It's the world could bring whatever they want to the United States. But when the United States, whether it's our products or our culture, want to bring it elsewhere, no. Close borders. So there is a double standard that you can definitely criticize.
Can I ask you a question, Adam? When you said it's going to hurt and this tariff and everything, is it worth it? Is it worth us feeling this pain right now to get and destroy China's chokehold on us? I say yes. Well, I say it's the future of this country. And you know what? Sometimes you got to get punched in the face and you got to get knocked down for the future, for our children, because Adam, if not, nothing is going to change. And this pain that everybody's feeling, easier said than done. I get it. We're all feeling it. Everybody's feeling it, but it has to be done. Well, Nobody wants to say it.
I need to interject.
Yeah,
what pain are you talking about?
Exactly. How bad is this
because
pain?
The pain is a headline. Let's be careful that we don't accidentally, cultivate some words that are in headlines that maybe aren't quite there yet. Excuse me. Are there some impacts of tariffs? Yes. But what did they just do? There was a study last week, was 10,000 items from Walmart, and Walmart said that they were holding the prices flat.
Yeah.
That the consumers had not seen a change on that. Home Depot said we're holding the prices flat. So I want to just encourage you and us to be careful about, we got to feel the pain for a while. Wait a minute. I'm waiting to see quantitative pain. We're not seeing quantitative pain that says the Fed saying, wow, things are going so badly, I got to drop interest rates. That's not happening yet.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of talk? Yes. Is there people like Ford that are revising their estimate of sales for the year? Yes. But to say that we're all in horrible pain,
I didn't
look
say
at your
horrible
401k, man. Yeah. 401k has come back higher than it was on April 1st before Liberation Day. So there's some things coming forward. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't want to amplify points when there's a lot of good that's going on.
Well, I mean, the part about what Vinny is saying is, you know how Adidas came out and said, well, the price is going to go up. Or, Apple comes out quarterly, announcing that $900 million, Q2 tariff hit for them. So their stock moves a little bit, right? But you're right. When we were talking about the market and it was down 1,000, down 1,000, down 2,400. Oh my God, the market lost $5 trillion. Boom. You showed me the numbers the other day. The market's back up what it was before April 1st. So you're right. That's the one video. If you remember the video that I made where it's like, hey, tomorrow it's supposed to be the Black Monday or whatever it was. Yeah. I said, whatever you do, if you're investing long-term, don't sell. Pump the brakes. Relax. It's going to come back up. It's going to be fine. And my guy, John Owens, is like, you never call me back about the market. I said, look, man, I'm a long-term investor in the market, so I know it's going to be fine. But at the same time, there is one country that I have zero tolerance for, and it's in my top 3. And China happens to be number 1. We have to figure this one out. If this one's going to cause a little bit of pain for people to go to India and other places, and then now you're seeing possibly challenges taking place with India and Pakistan, and they're getting involved. If a few of these other deals, what's the worst thing for China? If any of these other deals happen for Trump and U.S. ahead of them, China keeps losing leverage. Mm-hmm. If other people keep coming to the table with the president and they don't, the most leverage they'll have is 2 weeks ago. Every week they wait, minerals deal with Ukraine, you lost more leverage. Every week China waits, they lose more and more and more leverage with the West. So we'll see if they're going to be doing anything about that or not. I want to go to the next story. We don't like to talk about Canada, but today we're going to make the exception and we're going to talk about Canada. Mark Carney from Canada says he wants to meet with Trump, okay? Wants to have a meeting. What that meeting's about, nobody knows. Mark Carney Apparently, he's coming to the White House, and here's what the president said about it when he was asked about it.
Your expectation for your meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister tomorrow?
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We were losing think of it, on our trade policies with Biden. We're losing $5 billion a day. I think Josh, as a great businessman, would not let that happen too long, right? How many groups can lose $5 billion a day? If you lose $5 billion one day, that's the end of that company, right?
Rob, show the clip with Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is being asked about Canada. And in regards to Carney, Rob, I texted it to you, so you have it. It's going to be in my notes, notes that we have. You should have it. So he's being asked, what do you think about what's going on with, the meeting that they're having? And he says, look, I don't know, but all I can tell you is I'm just glad that I'm going to be in the room when this takes place. Is that the one, Rob? I texted it to you, Rob.
Yeah, I'm
it's in the notes,
okay.
Is what I'm saying. It's in the notes where Lutnick's being asked about Canada. I'm just going to text it to you. So you have it. There's the one, okay?
So Howard Lutnick is saying he would love to be in there?
Yeah. Tom, your thoughts on this?
There is a word that Mark Carney used that Pat pointed out about 3 weeks ago, and then 5 weeks ago, and then 6 weeks ago. And I'll read this. It says, our focus, Mark Carney speaking, our focus will be on both the immediate trade pressures. Really? So the election's over and you can stop talking crap?
Yeah.
And now you get to get down to business. Oh, really? Comma, and I'm quoting, and the broader future economic and security relationship between our two sovereign nations. You know what that security relationship is?
What?
We pay for more to protect them that they need. That's what they're talking about. And so I think he's coming down here for two things. He's basically saying it between the lines. The election is over. The crap talking is over. He's got to come down and make a deal, and he knows it. And Trump is right. And I love what Howard said. I'm just glad I'm going to be in the room. And
here's a clip out of it with Lutnick. Go for it.
Mark Carney, who might manage central banker.
Everybody does.
Are you optimistic? Can we make a deal with
The
Canada?
Trump one is playing still, Rob.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I love hearing his voice, so I'm not even mad. Makes me laugh.
Mark Carney, who might manage central banker. Are you optimistic? Can we make a deal with Canada?
I think it's really complex. I think this is really complex because they have been basically feeding off of us for decades upon decades upon decades, right? They have their socialist regime, and it's basically feeding off of America. I mean, the president calls that out all the time. Why do we make cars in Canada? Why do we do our films in Canada? Come on. So I think the president's going to have, I think it's going to be a fascinating meeting. I'm glad I'm going to be there listening, but it's going to be a fascinating meeting tomorrow. I just don't see how it works out so perfectly.
But you're not, Mark Carney.
Adam, thoughts?
Well, only in Canada, for the last 10 years, has every metric possible. Cost of living, the economy, wages, every single metric, do they go down since Justin Trudeau was the prime minister? And then do you decide to reelect the same party that put you in the position that got you here in the first place? I know you've been very critical of Pierre Poilievre, and I know you said 100% of his loss is on him. And I said, well, I think there's enough blame to go around. I think if Mark Carney shows up to the White House, he should give a bouquet of flowers and bring a gift, because Trump is also one of the main reasons he got elected. Without Trump and the 51st state, in my opinion, Mark Carney would have lost. Now, I do understand that Pierre Poilievre should have done more interviews, should have been more diversified, should have been a human, should have gone on Theo, should have come here. You should learn your lesson, Pierre Poilievre, because not only did you lose the prime minister's seat, you also lost, I believe, his own seat in Parliament over there.
You know, another Parliament guy stepped down to give him the seat.
Really?
Did you hear about this?
I did not hear about that.
You didn't hear about this?
No.
So another Parliament member felt so sorry for Pierre Poilievre that they stepped down to give their seat to Pierre because they think Pierre is more capable than they are.
Wow. To save some type of face.
Did you understand what I just said?
Yeah. So
Can you verify what I just said, Rob? Because these Canadians are... who's the guy that gave a seat over... because every time he gives a seat... Okay, it is with humility and appreciation that I accept it. Damian Curix, go a little bit lower, Rob, offered to resign his seat in Battle River Crawford, so that I can work to earn the support of citizens there to serve them in Parliament. Damian's selfless act to step aside temporarily as a member of Parliament shows his commitment to change and restoring Canada's promise. I will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crawford, and I will continue to help the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians. Now, to be fair to him, as much as I take shots at him, Mark Carney did the same thing. Somebody stepped down and gave their seat to him. So what the Conservatives are doing is exactly what Carney did. Somebody gave him the seat. Somebody else is stepping out to give him the seat, to say, hey, here you go. By the way, Canada is in such shambles right now, even though they won a lot of Conservative seats, that if you can go to the other story, Alberta, separatists pushed to leave Canada after Liberals win election. This is a Newsweek story from a couple days ago. Cameron Davies, a former leader of the United Conservative Party, UCP, resigned to head the independent-supporting Republican Party of Alberta, declared, and Alberta is like Texas. Is this her, by the way?
This is Danielle Smith.
I'm going to read this, and then let's watch a little bit on what she's saying. Today is the birthday of many new separatists in Alberta following the Liberal Party's election victory led by Prime Minister Carney. Davis criticized the UCP, stating, I watched the UCP full time and time again under Ottawa's pressure instead of standing up for Alberta's interests, and told Newsweek Albertans keep working harder while getting a less in return, advocating for an independent Alberta to control our policies, our borders, and our prosperity. Okay? By the way, if they decide to separate from Canada and choose to become a 51st state, then they would get a lot of the benefits that we have. And this 51st state, that means America adds another Texas to its states. Just so you know that. Go ahead and play this clip. Let's watch the first 30 seconds.
Alberta will be taking steps to better protect ourselves from Ottawa. As a start, I will soon appoint a special negotiating team to represent our province in negotiations with the federal government on the following reforms requested by our province. We hope this will result in a binding agreement that Albertans can have confidence in. Call it an Alberta Accord, if you will. First, Alberta requires guaranteed corridor and port access to tidewater off the Pacific, Arctic, and Atlantic coasts for the international export of Alberta oil, gas, critical minerals, and other resources in amounts supported by the free market rather than by the dictates and whims of Ottawa. Every province in the country, other than Alberta and Saskatchewan, have coastal port access.
Rob, you can pause right here. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, she's absolutely right. In Canada, the taxes are amazing, and then the government gives money back to the provinces. They give in Alberta, I think Saskatchewan is the same, in these, sometimes they're called transfer payments, also called equalization payments. Albertans get $16.95 per person in the billions that come back to Alberta, $1,695 a person, and I think Saskatchewan is the same, and Quebec, $3,159 per person. Wow. Quebec is where Montreal is, and it's where they are the most socialist. Adam was right what he said about Canada, but the dregs of socialism are in Quebec. And so when you look at Alberta, Alberta wants to trade its oil and wants to make deals to trade oil, and the state kind of messes with them. Because if they allowed them to do it, you know how wealthy Alberta would be? Texas. And by the way, they also have a thriving beef industry. So what the Albertans are saying is we're on this island and we're not with the program, and they want either an Alberta Accord. And look, it's an accord with your own country, and they're asking for access to a port. They're a part of Canada, and they just want access to the port so they can export their oil. Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. The U.S. has never said that, you know, Oklahoma or Arkansas couldn't send things through a Houston port to export. This happens all the time. And so they're talking about how fed up they are, and there you have it. Your own country won't even do things for you. And now they want an accord to level the playing field for Alberta, and they're trying to go the nice way. Meanwhile, people are signing a petition saying, why not be the 51st state?
How realistic is something like that, Tom, where Alberta says We want to be independent. We want to become the 51st state of the United States of America. What type of backlash would they get from the Canadian government? Would it be like not necessarily an act of war, but you're trying to leave, right?
Well, it's not going to happen. No sovereign country in the world, absent war, is going to give up any property.
Because, you know, I was going to say, because then the United States is going to put a base there.
But it shows you how blindingly pissed off the people are.
Oh, of course they are.
And it impacts what they call their Midwest, which is Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and then you have.
This is the guys. I don't know about you, Pat. You probably more than all of us, but I got 3 Manex just this morning about people furious about what's happening in Canada and giving solutions and what they should do. And I got a message from a guy named Lewis today. He's just like, bro, it's insane why they keep doing it. 3 of them, and at 8 o'clock in the morning.
And by the way, Rob, if you can pull up the story, the one about Pierre's campaign manager. Things are so bad now, so now they have to find somebody to blame. This reminds me of LeBron's Game 5 when they lose, and then he posts a picture and says, well, I will not be at the Met Gala because of my knee injury. I won't be making the Met Gala. So they need an oust. Why they lost to Minnesota. But conservative expected to point fingers at Jenny Byrne during election post-mortem. If we had won, everything would have been forgotten. One MP told National Post. Go, Lord. So that's apparently the campaign manager that hung up on our booker twice. Her and her team. A conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, is expected to hear on Tuesday from caucus members dissenting over mistakes made over the course of the campaign, with fingers pointing to campaign manager Jenny Byrne. Keep going lower. Conservative MP insiders spoke to National Post, did not lay the blame on Poilievre, who they said was busy crisscrossing the country, but rather the operational internal decision spearheaded by Byrne during the campaign. They pointed to the messy nominations, because there was a bunch of guys named Pierre on the list that were running, so they wanted to confuse, but they knew that weeks in advance, as well as rules against speaking freely to the media and their constituents. Rules. They also brought up the campaign's choice not to pivot after Justin Trudeau's departure, Mark Carney's arrival as Liberal leader, and U.S. President Donald Trump, frequent interviewers and a question on 1 p.m. spoke on the condition of anonymity in order to speak freely, said it was especially difficult to get anything done with Byrne having the final say on things, and that regional organizers were often left waiting for approval. In terms of campaign, the game plan was followed, but what we didn't like was a lack of flexibility. Everything went through her. Okay. So now people say what? Well, this is why they lost the election. It isn't Pierre's fault. It's 100% on Pierre. Who chose the campaign manager? Who hired this person?
Pierre.
Was she forced upon you?
Nope.
Oh, so for everybody that's trying to defend Pierre, they handcuffed him, they arrested him, they put a gun to his head, and they said, this is your campaign manager. And whatever she says, you do. You're a damn leader. What do you mean? You're the leader. You can fire people. You can move on. You can bring a new team. You can do things like that. But you guys keep protecting your little baby. God forbid. Oh, my God. This guy didn't do anything wrong. It's not his fault. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the other guys, a couple of the guys that had won in the past before, they said, you should have used my campaign manager. What's the guy's name? Is it Doug Ford? Is it something? What's his name? Is there a guy named Doug Ford in Canada? Yeah, a guy named Doug Ford said, you should have used my campaign manager, you would have won instead of using this. Maybe he's right, maybe he's not, whatever. Some people are saying that it could have been a different result. But again, that falls on the executive. The executive here is who? Pierre Poilievre, okay? He dictates the terms and the speed. No matter who the campaign manager is, if you're a leader, you dictate. Here's what we're going to be doing. These big decisions flow through me. I need to know what's going on with this. I need to do a daily report on what's going on with all these offers that are coming our way. You, the leader, can ask that. If you're running for office, Adam, Tom, Vinny,
yes, sir.
Any one of you guys.
Ellsworth Sosnick, 2028.
And honestly, if we hire Rob as your campaign manager, say we hire somebody as a campaign manager, can you tell me, if I'm your advisor and you hire the campaign manager and you say, Pat, I want the campaign manager to be held accountable by you, but they're also reporting to me as well. No problem. What reports do we want from this campaign manager on a daily basis?
We want to see real polls from people we can trust. We want to see real coverage. What coverage are we getting? Is our message getting into all the newspapers, or is it getting spun? I want to know, what is the opposition doing and how many eyeballs are they getting? Are their messages getting out, or their message getting spun? You would want the campaign manager to have their finger on the pulse of not only what's happening for you, but for everybody else. And by the way, how many times have we seen, Trump had a great campaign team around him. How many times did we see, the campaign team was running for cover because Trump went over and talked to these people? And he just said, you know what, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to talk to these people. And then he would say some things. And the campaign people sometimes got nervous about that. But you know what? That's the candidate leading. But to your question, we'd want the campaign manager to have their finger on the pulse of everything, tell us the truth so we can make the decision about it.
Adam, again, what is the question? I want to make sure I qualify the question because you need it. So if the campaign manager works for you, what daily reports do you want from this campaign manager?
What daily reports do you want from your campaign manager? You want to know polling. You want to know your schedule. You want to know where you're going. You want to know what's going on in the world. You want to know what happen domestically. You also want to understand what's going on, certainly in the United States, your neighbor. You also want to know what's going on with the with United States and Mexico, because we have that trade agreement with them. I think you just need a whole comprehensive report of what's going on in general.
What else do you want? Guys, let me ask you a question. Vinny, what would you want?
I want everything with the polling. I want what the temperature is with all the social media, what the streets are saying, setting me up with interviews, with polling and everything as well.
Would you want to know what outlets reached out to you on a daily basis?
1,000%. Who's trying to talk to us? What type of
Would you want to know what outlets we're reaching out to that they're not reaching out to us? So, for example,
I want to know
if I'm your campaign manager, would you sit down with me and say, Pat, I need you to get me on these top 20 shows?
That's a no-brainer.
Would you want me to do that?
1,000%.
Okay, so even though they're not reaching out to us,
reach out to them.
You
please,
want
Pat.
me to reach out to them?
100%.
Okay, all right. So who reached out to about Max Bernier? Did we reach out to Max? Max reached out to us.
Yeah.
And said, I'd like to be on your podcast. We didn't reach. And by the way, he DM'd me personally. He says, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, I'd like to come on a podcast. Great. So when you're thinking about reports, sentiment, poll, data, reaching out, outreach coming in, what clips did the best? What negative clips did the best? What are people saying? What are people not happy about? What are people in our market not happy about? How are they responding to the last speech I just gave on some of the issues that I brought up? Like if I'm testing Alcatraz and all this other stuff, what are people saying about we need to keep the border clean? How are conservatives responding to us? What is the rhino saying? What are the people who are enemies of mine saying? What's trending for them? You want to know all of that data. That's what you want to know. So now you may say, well, he just had a bad campaign manager. No. Campaign managers are managed by an executive. Every executive is managed by another executive that asks them, what do we need? Here's what I want us to do with HR. I need the following reports. Here's what we need for date. Here's what we need for that. Here's what I need for sales. What are we talking about here? And you want to be the prime minister? Maybe Carney was a better manager than you. The reality of it is, he may be a liberal. He may have terrible policies I don't agree with, but maybe he was just a better executive than you. Think about the executive side and what his background was, what he did, what he didn't do. Maybe the lesson learned here for a guy like him, similar to also the governor of the state of Florida, is I don't care who your campaign manager is. I don't care if it's your spouse. I don't care if it's your brother. I don't care if it's anybody. I don't care if it's your best friend. At the end of the day, be a damn executive and understand marketing and getting ahead of it. Don't just sit there and be pompous and be like, no, we're not going to do that. Oh, no, we're not going to. No, we're not going to do that. Very unattractive quality.
Yeah, I think, anyways. Well, last point here. I think if there's anything I can say about Pierre Poilievre where he screwed up was you ever see in a football game, you're up 35-21 and there's 2 minutes left. Go into the prevent defense. Just play prevent defense. Just run the ball. We'll punt it. We'll play prevent defense. And what happens when you stop playing offense, once they start scoring, all of a sudden, what should we do? Oh, my God. What are we going to do? All right, run the ball. 3 and out. You're punting. In my opinion, Pierre Poilievre did not go on offense. He was playing prevent defense. And, speaking of just this football analogy, same thing happened in Canada, happened in the United States. A couple months before the election, what happened? They bring in a different quarterback. Instead of Joe Biden, they brought in Kamala Harris. Same thing in Canada. Instead of Justin Trudeau, boom, Mark Carney shows up. The difference is Mark Carney was a little bit better of a leader and a communicator than the atrocity known as Kamala Harris. And what Trump did is the exact opposite of what Pierre Poilievre did. Trump said, what? I'm going to get out there. I'm going to rally. I'm going to go on every single a podcast. I'm going to get out there. Theo Von, PBD, Rogan, the list goes on. Whereas Pierre Poilievre played prevent defense, and all of a sudden, it's a tie ball game. All of a sudden, he's down 7. Next thing you know, he loses by 10. In an election, he should have won by 14.
Yeah, by a mile. Anyways, Canadians, did you hear the stories about how many Canadians are planning on leaving to the States?
No.
Did you see the article on how many are wanting to move to the States? And I don't blame you on what's going to be happening. But let's see what your Carney guy is going to do when he comes and meets with Trump. Maybe he is a better executive. Maybe he's a better executive. I
have a question for you.
Maybe Pierre's a better motivational speaker.
An apple eater. He eats a hell of an apple.
It's a different story.
I think that's BS.
I'm gonna
one clip. I have one question for you, Pat.
Yeah.
Because it's no secret, you're very disappointed in Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
And, without, you sort of bringing it up time and time again, we probably wouldn't cover this much. Do you have a problem with his approach? Do you have a problem with him as a person? Are you upset that a conservative who should have won did not win? What is it that you look at Pierre Poilievre?
I hold the voters accountable for being too soft. I hold the voters accountable for being too soft. I hold himself accountable for not being an executive. I've been in business for 25 years, and I've watched a lot of sales leaders. And nothing was more annoying than guys that were great speakers on stage who were privately lazy, and they leaned on their talents to get them to the next level. There was nothing more annoying than seeing super talented, capable guys. I would sit there and I would talk with them. I said, you realize that guy is driving 200 miles, going to appointments. You want everybody to come see you. You think you're so special that everyone needs to come see you. He doesn't. That guy was making $200,000 a year. The other guy was making $30,000 a year. That guy's not making $400,000 a year. 20 years later, that guy's making $2.2 million a year. Because that guy was willing to do the work. He was 10 times more talented and capable, but that guy was a worker. And that's Pierre. Super talented, capable guy. I've seen guys like Pierre many times. There's no difference. It's just a more public, competitive playground you're in than the one we're in. We're not public. But you see patterns with guys like Pierre. Super capable, super talented, great speaker, good-looking, beautiful wife, beautiful family. Just don't think he needs to do the work because he thinks he's got it figured out. The market will destroy you, and the world saw it, where you had to beg another person to step down to give you their spot, like Carney did. Now, I'd love to see a great comeback and him coming back and winning and learning from his mistakes. But he gives me the vibes of a guy that's too pompous to learn from his mistakes. Who knows?
Gotcha.
I may be wrong.
Thank you for clarifying. It's almost like hard work beats talent if talent will not work hard.
Yeah, I get annoyed when a guy's that talented. You are that talented. Are you freaking you are that talented and capable? It's so frustrating when you're so talented and capable. Anyways, let's go to the next story. Canadian people, you know I love you. When you run into me and you pull me aside and we have that conversation together, you know I love you. I respect you guys. I've had some great memories in Canada, and I will continue to make great memories in Canada. Although I'm sure if I go to Canada next time somebody sees me, they're going to say some bad comments, but we'll probably sit down and have a conversation about it.
And to you, single Canadian woman, 35 to 40, Vinny would like to love you.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
35 to 40. I'll just say 58 to 90, Tom. Where the hell are you going? How about 26 to 32?
Thank you, Vincent Oshana. Whoa.
Tom's like, hey, ladies in the old folks' home, geriatrics, if your teeth are still there, hit up Vinny.
And you're a billionaire.
And you're
very wealthy.
If she's
Vinny's
35 and under or 85 and older. That's it.
Let's go to the next one.
So funny, Vinny.
Let's talk about Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman says Harvard losing tax exemption is fair game. This is a Wall Street Journal story. Rob, go for it.
Fair to try to take the tax exempt status away.
I think it's fair. Again, the Harvard became over time a political advocacy organization for one party. When a university goes from being a university to affecting becoming a political advocacy organization. It doesn't deserve nonprofit status. I mean, and they have to. Harvard should be a place where students go to learn and the best research gets done. It shouldn't be a place that is allowing pro-terrorist organizations on campus, that only allows certain kinds of thinking and speech on campus. That's a political advocacy organization. It's not a university. So I don't think we're going to end up there where Harvard loses its tax-exempt status. I want Harvard to succeed. It's been very important to me over time. But really, it got itself to a very bad place. And Alan Garber is a good president, but he's not managing. The mismanagement here is Penny Pritzker. If this were any other kind of corporation, the notion that she's still chairman of Harvard, leading the charge here, and in terms of how Harvard managed everything from COVID. And I know we have to go, but it's an important topic, to endowment management, to waste, to free speech, to who they hired as president of the university. It's time for a change in leadership in the board at Harvard.
Tom, thoughts?
I think he's absolutely right. Bill Ackman's calling it out. And also, you have to remember, just get past the fog of this, America. These are private institutions with endowments in the tens of billions of dollars, still charging full price to students who can finally get in, and taking your tax money in the form of federal grants to do research. And if you're taking tax money from you and me because our senators and congressmen are sending it through committees and sending it there for research, then guess what? You get a say. And the guy at the top of our government is the President of the United States, who is saying that if you're going to be discriminatory in admissions, if you're not going to protect one group of students on campus from the from violent protest and verbiage and calls for violence against them, the way the Jewish students were feeling it and seeing it and being concerned, then what are you doing? Then I'm sorry, you don't get money from the taxpayer. You're not going to. Look at it this way. You've got one set of taxpayers, Jewish students and their parents, and other sets of taxpayers over here that may not even be from the United States, and you're not even protecting those taxpayers on your private campus, then I'm sorry, you don't get public dollars. And that's what he's saying. And Bill's being very balanced. He's saying that the board is the problem. He's saying that he thinks Alan Garber is, by and large, a pretty reasonable leader. Bill said that. But he also said the concept that a board is doing this is wrong. If this was a publicly traded company, they would have made the change already because they would have been scared about their stock price. But they're private. And as a private company taking public dollars, you need to be called to account. You're being called to account. And instead of saying we're sorry, instead of saying we'll change it, instead of saying you're right, maybe these Jewish students and people on campus shouldn't have felt fear with these protests, they say, your move is highly illegal and destructive to Harvard. Well, damn right it is. And it should be destructive to you if you need public funds to survive, yet you're sitting on tens of billions of dollars in endowment. Are you kidding me? So I think Bill Ackman was right. And if anything, he's a little bit measured, because I think for too long, they've become political institutions. Harvard was founded to serve the community, and one of the purposes, so people that say it was founded as a seminary is wrong, but one of the key purposes was to train ministers for public service. So how far the apple has fallen from the tree.
Adam.
Harvard received the worst score ever in the free speech rankings for universities. Rob, I just sent you that. If you want to pull that up, I think we've discussed this before.
Many times, yeah.
So why is that? Why their grade was so bad that they dominated every single school, including Yale, Dartmouth, Cornell, Stanford. Why is Harvard so atrocious when it comes to free speech? And also leading the league in political activism, leading the league in discrimination, leading the league in anti-Semitism. They're no longer an education institute, it would appear, and they're an indoctrination institute. So I don't get great pride in dismantling Harvard like this. They should be a great university where our best and brightest basically can go and change the world. But, you talked about what Harvard was founded on. What's Harvard's slogan or their motto? It is Veritas, which stands for truth. Shout out to James O'Keefe, what used to be Project Veritas. What kind of
Pete
truth?
Hexa talked about that here on the podcast.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
I think didn't he go there?
Yeah, he did.
What kind of truth is actually established at Harvard these days? It would just seem that the only truth there is that unless you're super liberal, you have no place in Harvard. You've talked about when you went and you did, I think, the Harvard Business School, the business program, about nobody on campus whatsoever was supporting the conservative Trump side of things.
By the way, Bill Ackman.
It was anti-American at the least.
Yeah, Bill Ackman here, who you just heard speak, went to Harvard and gave over $25 million to Harvard. This is not just a regular guy that's sitting there talking. This is a $9 billion guy that's given $25 million, that's supported Harvard, who's coming out being that critical about what they're doing. Vinny, any final thoughts on this?
You know what name popped out when you said, so Penny Pritzker runs Harvard's board, right? J.B. Pritzker runs Illinois to the ground. She's pushing this globalist BS through the Ivy League while he's bankrupting the state with all the failed policies and handouts. Tom,
is this the same Pritzker family?
Yeah. That's the same Pritzker family, and it's almost like, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Crime, especially in Illinois, with him trying to threaten. Like, to me, that was a dog whistle, what he's doing. She's running the school. She has a big say, right, Pat? If you're the freaking, Tom, if you're running the board at Harvard and all these policies and all this crap is happening, does the majority of it fall on you if you're running the board of a company?
Yeah. So the boards nowadays can get sued by the shareholders. And now if someone asks you to be on a board of a company, and Pat and I both know about this, they want to check you out and you ask, okay, well, do you have officer and director's insurance? And what is the status of your board? Do you want me to be on the compensation committee, the audit committee? The boards are there and the board members can be sued. So the board members have more accountability than ever, which is why boards sometimes take actions quickly, good boards, against the CEO that's way outside the lines.
Oh,
do you know what the Pritzker family is famous for? Do you know who they are? Do you know how they made their money?
I've read.
I do know they don't take good pictures on May the 4th be with you.
Absolutely not.
Have you seen
Did
this?
you see that?
There's certain pictures you should not post with your family.
Ever, especially if you're not in
it
shape.
Just doesn't make sense. Like, look at that. That's the picture. May the 4th. They posted this.
May the food be with you.
What it is.
It is with
Chicago's got great food. They're famous for the Hyatt hotels.
Yeah,
that's who they created. They're one of the richest families in America. I think Penny and JB are first cousins. I used to be, I would say, friends of friends with one of the younger cousins, Jason Pritzker, who was friends with my friend Joe back in the day. But this is a deeply entrenched Democratic family with billions of dollars behind them. And where they go, wokeness will follow. And may the 4th be with you, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, folks, we're going to be okay with this one, but it is what it is. Sometimes those pictures you post, it's got to be. Look, I've been guilty of posting Halloween pictures, and afterwards I'm like, you know what? That was a bad mistake. So I've been in the same community. We're part of the same elite community.
Yeah.
Of bad pictures being posted on Halloween. But okay, guys, if you're looking for a great podcast to listen to, a new one that's come up, Michelle Obama's is maybe not one of them, but her take is killing it. After first episode, Michelle Obama is slammed for whining about costs in the White House. Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. This is her speaking with. Is this the Diaries of a CEO? Right. So, Rob, if you can play this clip, this is her talking about how expensive it was to live in the White House. Go for it.
It's expensive to live in the White House.
Yeah.
As many people don't know. Sure. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every bit of food that you eat. You know, you're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be on the plane. It is an expensive proposition, and you're running for 2 years and not earning an income. So all of that was in my mind. How would we manage this? So my fears came from the fact that I thought he could win. You know, because maybe way in the back of my mind, I was hoping that maybe he wouldn't, you know, that this would be the last thing he would do. but I knew he had it in him to make this happen.
So, what are you thinking when you're giving this message? Like, what are you thinking in your mind? Because let's do data. Rob, can you type in Obama's net worth in 2007? What was Obama in 2007? 1.2 million, 1.3 million. Okay. So their net worth is, let's write this down. This is pre-White House. Their collective net worth was 1.3 million. Can you go to where their net worth was in 2016 when they're done being presidents? Okay. 2016. So their net worth, as expensive as it was, they went from being 1.3 million to 12.2 million. So that's 10xing your net worth in 8 years. And that's not bad. So can you now go to their net worth today, 2025? What is the net worth today?
It's got to be worth a couple $100 million. No?
It's two numbers. You see 70 million to $250 million. So 70 million to $250 million. If you type in a couple other places, you'll see 100 million, you'll see 70 million, but you'll see a couple ranges. But let's just stick to the $70 million. Pre-presidency, 1.7. So expensive being at the White House. It was so expensive that our net worth went from 1.3 million to 12.2 million 8 years later. What an expensive lifestyle. And then you go from 12.2 million to $70 million. What do you think the average person that listens to this, do you think they connect to that, Michelle? I'm just curious. You're a very good communicator. Very. You were very good on stage. One of the best. You know how to rally. You actually do. Barack used to say, if I ever needed to win an election, I put Michelle on stage. I've heard that many times. Who are you inspiring with that message you're giving? Think about another younger African-American girl that's listening to this. Do you think you inspired her to want to be a first lady? What do you think you did? Do you think that motivates another girl that's watching this saying, I want to grow up to be like Michelle Obama, my hero? Oh, let me hear to see what she has to say about being a first lady. I bet she says it was the greatest honor. Oh, no, in the back of her mind, she wishes he wouldn't have won because it was so expensive. I don't understand. There's no way a publicist said, take this angle. And here's her interview with Lewis House, okay? Before I show you this, Rob, you took the wrong picture. Back, and you did that intentionally. Don't do that. Go back to it again, Rob. Go back to the video, okay? So can you go on the channel? Just go on Lewis House's channel. Lewis House is one of the best in the game. Go to videos, okay? Go to videos, and then go to views. Popular, type in popular. Let's see what maybe Lewis hasn't ever done any big interviews. Go there. First one, most views, 11 million views, okay? Second one, 6.7 million views. Third one, 6.3 million views. Fourth one, 5.9 million views. Fifth one, 5.3 million views. Sixth one, 5.3 million. Another 5 million, another 4.7 million, another 4.3 million, another 4.3 million, another 4.3 million, another 4.2 million. Can you go and see how many videos he's done? Okay, keep going lower to see it. So let's do rows. Let's do rows. 1, keep going, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Stop right there. 28 rows times 4 is what? 28 rows times 4 is 25 times 4 is what? 100. So 200. So 112 interviews he's done that have gotten over 1 million views. And of everybody he interviewed above, not a single one of them have on Instagram. Can you go to their followership? Can you go to Michelle Obama's followership on Instagram? Not a single one of them have 57 million Instagram followers. Not a single one of them on X has. Not a single one of them on X has, let's go to that, 21.6 million. Not one of those people he interviewed has that kind of reach. And then go and pull up her interview 2 days later, how many views it got? Go on her interview, okay? How many views? That's definitely not because of Lewis House.
No.
22,000 views. How many comments, Rob? How many comments? Go lower. Go lower. Comments is what? 82 comments? Are you kidding me?
That's weird.
Only 82. Let's read the comments. So Lewis House, classy guy, is thanking them. Great. Self-doubt comes from problems. It's essential to prioritize your mental health. This is by far my favorite interview. You're probably the only one of 22,000. Wow, one of the best podcasts I've ever watched. So excited to hear them. Okay, what is the market saying? Maybe the market is saying we don't want no victim mentality messages anymore. It's done. It's not attractive. Be a hero. Sell a young girl. Man, one day you can also be. And let me tell you, there's burden that comes with this, but it's worth it. You're doing it for your country. Brock and I are very grateful to have the life that we have now because we work very hard. You can as well if you pursue your dreams. Instead, life was so expensive. In the back of my mind, I wish you wouldn't have won. Give me a flipping break. Like you're a hero to millions of girls. This is how we speak. I don't know about that. I mean, to me, it's like, give me a break already. This is the part where you sit there and you wonder, like, can we change the hero-making machine? The market is telling, on Lewis House's podcast. Can you go back on his channel, Rob? Can you go back? Lewis, forgive us for doing a complete public inventory of your channel. Can you go to videos? Can you go to videos and zoom out a little bit? Not most popular. Go to the latest. Okay, go to the latest. So let's see. Zoom out a little bit so I can see it. Zoom in a little bit so we can see it. Guys, 4 days ago, Dean Graziosi got 4 times the amount of views as Michelle Obama. I guarantee you would have believed it. 6 days ago, is that Chloe? Who is that? I don't know who that is, Rob. Is that Chloe?
Lucy Hale.
Who is that?
I have no idea.
Okay, she got 134,000 views.
She's getting sober, though.
160,000 views. Simon Sinek, 205,000 views. Mel Robbins, 139,000 views. I don't know who that, 195,000 views. 126,000 views, Dave Ramsey. 206,000 views. 344,000 views. This is a travesty. By the way, whether you're a fan or not of Michelle, would you have expected this to be the numbers on one of the biggest podcasts in the world called Lewis House's Podcast?
Nope.
He was just on Bill Maher a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis House was.
Why do you think this is? Adam, let me come to you. Let's be as fair and respectful as possible. I don't want any funny shots, no sarcasm. Why do you get the first lady with 56 million Instagram followers, 22 million X followers? Why do you get 22,000 views? Adam.
Okay, so I'll give 3 reasons. Number 1, people are interested in people who are interesting. She's not doing anything interesting. Why?
56 million people followed her.
Yeah, but that's from 10 years ago. So what has she done lately? You know, what have you done for me lately? Like, it's almost like you have a great salesperson you were talking about before that was the number 1 salesperson in the company 10 years ago. And now they're just coasting along, and now they're number 48 because they're just doing the same old thing. People aren't interested in her anymore, clearly. Numbers don't lie, right? Some brilliant guy once said, words talk, but numbers scream. Nobody's interested. Number 2, I would highly encourage her to go on any podcast where it's just not a softball fluff piece interview. The last podcast that I've seen her go on are apparently, what's our buddy's name right here? Who just went on? Lewis House.
Yeah.
You went on Jay Shetty. You went on The Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Great outlet. She went on, in my opinion, with Craig Robinson. She went on the Jennifer Hudson show. Show me a podcast where someone's challenging her belief system. Show me one. Show me one clip where she's getting into it. Show me one. Nobody likes the fluppies. Say what you want about Trump. He's going to show up. He's going to show up to ABC. He's going to show up to NBC. He's going to show up to CBS. He just did Kristen Welker with MSNBC. He's going to mix it up. Who's the guy that just interviewed him and he's like, MS-13, excuse me. Like, he's going to do that. People want to see that. That's how you get to know the real person. And the last thing that she's suffering from is what I would call the Kamala Harris effect. The more and more she talks, the people realize they're not interested in her. The more and more she talks, people are like, yeah, I'm good on this. And her approval ratings and her net approval ratings are plummeting because nobody's interested. And that's me being as fair as possible.
You can be straight up.
I'll be straight up with you. The shelf life on victimhood is short. And once upon a time, she had a product that she could offer.
So true.
And she had a wonderful book, and she was representing, healthy foods and things like this. And she had
She was inspirational.
and more purpose. She was inspirational. And by the way, in the White House, let's break it down, folks. 1.3 million coming in, 12.2 going out. I did the before taxes. So before taxes, the Obamas averaged $1.96 million per year before taxes. As president, he only made about $300,000. So something was going on. They were getting book deals. They were getting speaking. She was getting paid to speak, like at universities and stuff. So there was all this going on. But now, guess what? It's like a pair of Levi's that is no longer in style and nobody wants to buy. I mean, and
but you can recreate yourself.
That's
You can recreate yourself.
I agree, but what you can recreate, and you hired, what would the CEO do at Levi's? Hire designers. Let's get with it. We're all about denim, but let's get with the future. Let's design what people want. But whoever is with her, she's not getting any encouragement to reinvent, or if she's getting that encouragement, she's not saying anything. And it's disappointing to me.
Thoughts.
You know,
America needs women that are inspirational for our girls to look up to.
I agree.
Especially a woman of color.
And you nailed it, Tom, with the shelf life, with the victimhood. And also, Pat, you guys have to understand this. People were told you had to love her. People were told you have to vote for Barack Obama. You know what I mean? That whole, if you ain't black, and it would, that whole push was, she was pushed on us. And to be honest with you, besides all that, okay, and her stance and all that, what has she done? You're the first lady of the president of the United States. Okay, that's it. That's all. Okay, that's all. She didn't solve anything. She didn't cure anything. That's all. And then her true colors. This is a big part of it too, Pat. Her true colors came out when there's a funeral of a president and your ass doesn't show up. That's who you really are. Okay, when there's an inauguration where it's a passing of the guard, your ass is supposed to be there. You don't show up. The market sees it. The people know you for who you are. And I don't want to hear this crying, feel sorry for me, crying BS tour. It's horseshit. She's a multi selling out arenas. What the hell is she saying to sell out an arena? You know what I mean? She's not Shane Gillis. She's not freaking, Bill Burr, any of these big ass comedians. She's not Louis C.K. Who are you? She's not Kevin Hart. You're selling out freaking arenas, making all this money. They propped her up to be this person, and now you're a victim. It's unattractive. And then she's on this podcast. Did you see this one? She says, I need therapy, and I'm transitioning into my truth. Transitioning what? To a potential billionaire? You saw this one? Rob, this is the one?
And at this phase of my life, I'm in therapy right now because I'm transitioning. I'm 60 years old. I've finished a really hard thing in my life with my family intact. I'm an empty nester. My girls are in, they've been launched. And now for the first time, as I've said before, every choice that I make is completely mine. I now don't have the excuse of, well, my kids need this or my husband needs that or the country needs that. So how do I think about this next phase? And let me get some help. Let me unwind some old habits. Let me sort through some old guilt that I've been carrying around. Let me talk about how my relationship with my mother has affected how I think about things. So I'm getting that tune up for this next phase because I believe this is a whole nother phase in life for me. And I now have the wisdom to know, let me go get some coaching while I'm doing it.
But think about it. How am I going to get this next phase, which you're extremely famous? Like, obviously, she's going to have Secret Service protection for the rest of her life, which she deserves. She's the first lady. You're going to continue to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has donated. He's donating his $400,000 salary. I don't think any other president has done that multiple years while he's been the president. And all this time, it's like, bro, like you guys nailed it. It's a victimhood, and nobody wants to hear that crap. And where's been Barack? Where's Barack? Have you guys even heard a peep from Barack Obama?
I want to focus on her here. So for me, the only thing I see is I went on YouTube right now. You know what I typed up? I typed up Michelle Obama. Okay, if she sees this clip or her marketing team watches this clip, go to filters and type in views, and go to the second one, carpool karaoke. How many views? No, you don't go to it, Rob. I'm just saying, like, go to it, zoom in a little bit. 84 million 8 years ago. Okay, go to the next one. Keep going.
She's having fun.
Ellen,
right?
65 million.
Yeah, having fun.
Go to the next one. 44 million. What pattern do you see all three of them? She's having fun. Go to the next one. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I don't know. That's Secret Service. Okay, great. That's 37 million. Keep going. That's not part of it. Obama's make baby stop crying. Okay, cool. Human. Okay, next, 27 million. Fun. Next one, 22 million. Fun. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. 22 million. That's a lot of views, Vinny.
Of course.
With Colbert. You have Fallon, 19 million views. This is a lady that sold 14 million copies of her book, 725 on day one. 8 million US, 14 million worldwide. Sometimes you got to watch your own content from back in the days and see what happened there. Now, don't get me wrong. If there is a divorce going on, if there is a challenge going on in the marriage, if there is something like that and you're going through it, look, it's an issue. But to get that many people, there was a thing that I heard one time many years ago. It said, stop complaining, stop making excuses, because 80% of people could care less, and 20% are glad you have them. Stop complaining about your problems, because 80% could care less, and 20% of people are kind of happy you have them. Keep it to yourself. There is no benefit to it.
Yeah.
There truly is no benefit to it. Keep it to your small little circle. We're living in such an era of be vulnerable with everything you got going on. Anyways, let's go to the next story.
Can we just put her political career to rest?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone was talking about she's going to run, she's going to run.
Yeah.
I was very consistent. I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
Can we at least all acknowledge she's officially done? That conversation is
No, if you get
is not happening.
22,000 views on a big podcast, and the guy that did the interview has done many 100 plus interviews, over 1 million views. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, let's go to the next one here. Dave Portnoy says he's sending culprits behind anti-Semitic sign to Auschwitz to learn about the Holocaust. This is what? This is the Jews thing that happened at the club. So Barstool founder Dave Portnoy announced that he will send a 2 men responsible for the Jews sign at one of his Philadelphia bars to Auschwitz to learn about the Holocaust standing. I'm sending these kids to Auschwitz. They've agreed to go. Initially furious, I'm going to make it my life's mission to ruin these people, but later opted for a teaching moment, collaborating with the New England Patriots team owner Robert Kraft's anti-hate group for the concentration camp tour. The anti-Semitic incident revealed on social media involved bottle service girls presenting the sign to a group at the bar, prompting Portnoy to fire 2 waitresses involved in reflect. These are young effing morons who did this. They're drunk. Okay, Rob, do you want to play the clip? What, this is the picture of what they posted?
Yes, this is the sign that went viral over the weekend.
Okay, Rob, can you tell us what happened?
So apparently there's students from Temple that had bottle service at one of the clubs or bars that Dave Portnoy owns in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Part of the bottle service, you get this sign that you can put anything on the marquee. The people that were in that bottle service area put this on there, and then it went viral all over the internet Saturday into Sunday.
And let me ask you, Rob, is this the one where you were saying it's not computer, you have to choose the letters and put them on there?
Yeah, like if you've ever driven past like a McDonald's or where they have the sign out
Gas
front,
station,
it's the same lettering that they go and place on. So it's not a digital sign. Somebody actually had to write this out on the sign.
Got it. So it's not like a quick 15-second boom, take it down.
No, you'd have to go and find all of these letters. Then put them in. Yeah.
Okay. And let's see Dave Portnoy's. Is this his initial reaction or the second
Yes,
one?
I have his initial reaction. Here's
Pull up his
the
initial reaction. Go for it.
All right, emergency press conference time. So I'm getting ready to go to the Met Gala, and all of a sudden my phone, the last hour or two, my phone's fucking blowing up. Our bar in Philadelphia, Barstool Sampson Street, usually a great fucking bar. You know, bottle service, people buy drinks. You get a sign. There was a sign yesterday that said, fuck the Jews. I've been shaking. I've been so fucking mad for the last 2 hours. Like, I instantly got on. This is why the emergency press conference was late, because I was so over the top. It's like, I'm going to fucking make it my life fucking mission to ruin these people. Like, I'm coming to your throat. I'm never ending. And I just sat, and for the last 2 hours, I have been on the trail. Trust me, I've been on the trail. You think I'm going to put up with this shit at my bar? So I've been hunting down waitresses, the table who did it, and everything you can fucking name, because I want fucking consequences for fucking actions. So I'm not just sitting back like, oh, what are you gonna know? Trust me, I have been on it. I believe the 2 waitresses responsible for the table already fired. I talked to one of them, one of the dumbest fucking humans I've ever talked to in my life. She's at a fucking dance recital. She's like, can I call you back in 20? No fucking honey, you fucking can't. This is your one chance to talk to me. Idiot, total idiot, this girl. I've talked to the guy Mike Wade who's tagged. Guess what? He wasn't even fucking there. I had this kid basically in tears turning state witness to me, rolling on the people who were there. I've talked to one of the 2 guys who fucking did it. He's like, I'm not anti-Semitic. He's basically crying to me. And I'm just like, I don't fucking buy it for a second. Who the fuck would do that sign in my fucking bar? You think I'm just gonna sit here? I'm gonna make it my fucking mission to put you in the lights. My fucking mission.
All right, you
Kids
can pause it
crying
right there. Okay. Adam, your thoughts on this?
I have so much to say here, but I'm going to say this as a proud Jew. I'm going to say this as someone who has a bar in South Beach. There's some videos of how easy you can just make a sign. And I'm going to say this as just someone who's a logical actor and respects all people. I don't think, I'm against, this is a shocking statement. I'm against all form of hate crimes. So imagine any other people that a sign like this going up. This is at my bar Bodega in Miami. And a person literally has to put the things in there. Happy birthday, Adam. We've all been to a bar before. It's very easily. So the person that said, hey, I want to buy a bottle, and they're going to say, what do you want on the sign? He says, F the Jews. He said that. That's how it happened. Now, I also blame the idiot servers who are like, okay, let me go ahead and do that. So it's completely ignorant, it's completely hateful, and it's completely all too common these days. Imagine if they replaced Jews with blacks or gays or Mexicans or Chinese or Muslims or Christians. The outrage of anybody. So everyone says, well, just because you're against Israel doesn't mean you're against the Jews. Really? Because that slippery slope just happened real quick. So, all right, I'm not against the Jews. I'm just against Israel. Well, no, I'm against Israel, just not the Zionists. Well, I'm not against the, I'm against. Well, maybe I am against the Jews. Boom. It's a very slippery slope. And what I will caution anybody that has never been to the Middle East, and PBD knows this better than anybody. And I've spent time in Israel and other countries around, even Jordan. The Middle East is not the Midwest. And the way that people operate in the Middle East is a lot different than in the friendly confines of America or in the EU or in Australia or in Canada. These people in the Middle East respond to strength and not weakness. If you're weak, you're dead. So as a famous Jewish philosopher has once said. So as far as Dave Portnoy, I'm fully behind Dave Portnoy. Smart guy, sharp guy, cunning guy, someone who stirs the pot and knows what the hell he's doing. So why is he sending people to Auschwitz? Well, it's actually very common. There's something called the March of the Living, where you can go walk into the streets of Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen and different camps that many Jews died in, 6 million apparently. So I know there's a lot of Holocaust deniers. I encourage you to go. And I encourage you to go to see what happened to these actual people who were just exterminated just because they were Jewish. I'm fully behind Dave Portnoy on this. Now, my fear is that this will not change shit. The total ignorance is pervasive, and I wish these people were educated. Unfortunately, the hate is not going anywhere. So Jews just need to be strong and deal with this.
Vinny.
That's it.
Well, because I looked up ChatGPT, I'm like, who? First of all, unacceptable. Writing down the bar from the top down, from the waitress, from somebody should have been like, whoa. I don't care what race they come from. They should have said, absolutely not. I don't give a shit how much money this guy is spending, how much bottle service. And Rob, because I ChatGPT, I was like, who's the guy that was there? And this is what ChatGPT and what name is floating around. This is allegedly, this is not us saying that it's him, but the name floating around is Mohammed Adnan Khan, Khan, and the middle name is Adnan. This is, again, the name floating around, who allegedly bought the bottle and handed it off right before I might be wrong. Am I right?
I think you're actually right.
No,
I think
am I
he
right?
goes by Mo.
Is this the guy? Is this the guy, Rob?
M.O. Khan.
According to Temple News, which is where they're saying he's a student at, that is who they identify as being responsible.
Okay,
for
so
this.
that's them saying it, and it just the one thing that I took from this too, from me, dude, all the things that we're taught, that we're not taught, we're told about all the races, Tom, and all the, Trump loving MAGA, everybody's racist, and it's all, you think this should be something then from their point of view down south, and this should be happening down in no, this is happening where? Philadelphia, right? The most liberal. These are the places, Adam, that I think it's almost welcome. Like, it's cool to do it, and I think it makes me laugh that it's not where they say all these racists really are, and all these MAGA and Trump people. It's always happening in places like this. It's always happening in places like Harvard, and it's like, when are they going to step up and actually do something about it? The fact that they did that and they recorded it and they put it out, and nobody said shit. Come on, man.
Just to validate what you're saying, Dave Portnoy put this out there on his Instagram. So I know you're saying this is allegedly who it is. We can confirm. But
That's
this is from
saying,
Dave Portnoy's Instagram, Stool Presidente.
Introducing Mo Khan.
Mohammed Khan.
So this is him saying that he did it.
He's the one that videoed F the Jews.
And I don't know. Listen,
yeah.
and
he said this literally. He said, I spoke with him yesterday, and he took 100% responsibility for his actions with his buddy, and we agreed on a learning trip to Poland, and hopefully as a reciting the teaching moment. That's for the March of Living.
Yeah.
However, the next post was the following, Rob. He said, well, no, actually, this is also Mo Khan. We asked him today about this post. He said he'd have to speak with his parents about it. Long story short, this 21-year-old child is taking zero accountability for his actions. His trip to Poland has been revoked. Whatever ramifications come his way, he has 100% earned. And there's a post apparently where he made a joke. Throw a quarter on the ground, find a Jew. By the way, I've heard that joke a million times. I got no problem with that joke. These are jokes. When we start canceling people because of jokes, that's where we have a problem. But when you start putting a sign, F the Jews, where is it acceptable for any other race, ethnicity, religion to hold up a sign? And I think people are saying you can't criticize the Jews. I'm seeing a lot of criticism.
And this is where this is where I think it is, guys. And this is where this whole thing has exploded. Okay, you can be critical of any government, our government, including Israel, okay? That's fine. But the moment you go into the people, like I was in during 9/11 and George Bush, that's one of the main reasons I left. And my attitude was anti-him, anti-Bush Jr., anti-Rumsfeld, anti-Cheney, all right? What they did to me, they deserve to be in prison, if not treasonous, the death penalty for what they did, and they lied to us and the people that died. That doesn't equate to F America and F this and no. That's the problem. You can be critical towards a nation and their government, but the moment you start going F the Jews and it's a bar and it's that type of shit, I'm anti that. I'm not for it.
I have nothing. I'm not going to repeat anything that's been said. I just have a question. If you were in that bar that night, where were you? If you were across the bar and say, hey, look at that sign over there, where were you? If we're not a nation of standards and of people that will stand for principles, then there are things that are going to happen around you, they're going to grow around you, that are going to grow up around you. And if you're just happy to sit at your table and not walk across and be a person of principle, where were you? That's the question I have. Where were the other people in that bar? I would not have been in a bar in a VIP section, but if it was like a lounge area, restaurant or somebody where I might be sitting there waiting for a table or something, and I saw that, I would ask the manager, what is up with that? Why is that there? And so where were the coworkers? Where were the bartenders? Where were the patrons? Where was the manager? Where was everybody else while this was going on? Where were you? And this, I believe, in a little way, is a shining light on what is becoming America as we slide toward, a nation that, what are your principles and what will you stand up for? And what will you walk across the street to say, I'm not standing for that and I can't have this. So that's my question today is where were those that were around?
Can I ask you three a question? And I'm so unemotional
Be
about
very
this stuff
clear
at
with
this
your
point.
question, though, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so unemotional about this because I'm just so used to it at this point. If you were in a bar and you saw a sign that said F the Christians or F the Assyrians, what would you do?
There would be a problem or we would leave.
probably more of a problem with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
So when
I'm
you say,
grabbing
when
the
you
sign.
say there would be a problem, how would you approach it?
First of all, you're not going to find me at a bar at this age because I would do something. That's why I avoid places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we're at the Derby and we're leaving at the end, this drunk guy comes up and pulls my hand. Hey, we have to do business together. I have a problem with being in places where people are drunk and do stupid things. Because if you cross the line of disrespect, you almost have to do something. But at the same time, you got 4 kids, you also got to make the responsible decision.
Mm-hmm. What would you do, Vinny?
If I saw,
I mean, it could be at a bar, it could be at a restaurant, any place where people can basically do this kind of thing.
By the way, I'm grabbing that sign, and I'm not. Pat has a little bit more temperament than me because he has way more to lose than me. I'm grabbing the sign. But he says a great question. If you were at that bar, what are you doing at that bar? By the way, I don't have to be a Jewish person. If I see that, by the way, you're all on camera. I'm grabbing that shit. I'm grabbing that I'm going to grab that sign. Like, yo, what the hell are you guys doing? What are you, nuts?
I think
what are you nuts? You guys even know where the hell you are right now? Like, you're at a Jewish guy's bar, number one. Number two, what? Like, what would you do if you were at that bar?
Let me tell you, if it was F the Jews, F the Muslims, F the Mexicans, F the Christians, F the blacks, I would get up and say, dude, what are you doing right now? I wouldn't fight the person. I would stand for what's right. For you to just call out an entire community, an entire ethnicity, entire religion, and you'd be that selfish and that hateful and that vengeful, something needs to be said. I would do it for any other ethnicity out there, not just the Jews. And that's what I think needs to be understood, is that call out ridiculous, absurd hatred, whatever it is.
Yeah, and the other part is with Portnoy. Portnoy made it clear where he stands. He did the same thing at the UFC fight with who was fighting? Bryce Mitchell was fighting.
Yeah.
When he got up and put the yarmulke on and started screaming.
And had that
By the way,
Israel
that's
flag.
where his conviction lies. If that's where his conviction lies, you got to respect it. The fact that he's willing to get loud and make noise about it. To me, it's purely with respect side. When every once in a while you make a comment about, Sarah, what's her name, Huckabee,
comment about her.
Some of the stuff's like, hey, we have to tone it down. No, it's been multiple comments that's been made. I say lead with respect. When you cross the line like that, we have a problem. And but again, it's good for him to call it out, and the market can react to it any way they want to.
It's not like the guy said F Israel's war or F Bibi Netanyahu. He's saying F this entire religion, and it's becoming all too common and acceptable, and nobody with their right mind would stand for this. Imagine doing that. F the Muslims or F Allah. What have we seen happen
but also,
when you do that?
Let me tell you.
We know what happened.
You also can't say F the Jew. You can't. Don't act like they're also not protected.
What do you mean?
No, you also can't say that. You also can't say F the Muslims. I put those two as very similar. So I don't want to, I'm going to play a little bit of the other side to say, as inappropriate as it is, those two you can't do. Christians always get shots taken at them. Are you kidding me? Halloween. What is Halloween all about? Go ahead and dress like Muhammad on Halloween. See what happens to you. Go ahead. How many people make fun of Jesus on Halloween? What are we talking about? No, that happens a lot. I think the one that they do the most is Christians. Because you earlier mentioned the fact that one of the things I don't ask for anymore is what? Tolerance. No. But this is not a very common thing. This is why the reaction was the way that it is. And rightfully so, to go to a place like this. But I think there's two places you can't go. The same with Muslim, although more and more people are feeling a little bit more comfortable with that because they're seeing what's happening to London. They're seeing what's happening to Dearborn, Michigan. And they're starting to realize, hey, man, if your argument is so good, make the communities you move into better. Is it getting better? If it is, keep talking about it. Is business getting better? Is unemployment going lower? Is the place safer? Do other religions and ethnicities feel safer being there? Or no? If not, you lose the argument. Which is kind of what you said earlier.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, I have Muslim friends, so this is not an attack on anything with Islam. But show me rallies where tons and tons of Muslims are there where they're cheering for the United States. Go ahead, show me. Show me that. Show me ones where they're not burning the flag.
You won't see many of them. Yeah,
bingo.
You won't see many of them. You will not see many of them. But America is starting to realize You have to be very careful. We had a conversation about this at the Derby.
Yep.
You and I and Tico early in the morning, if you remember this. And
Hey, Tom got involved too.
Tom got involved as well. Even Alpert got involved into it. We played this last week. Anyways, gang, couple things I want to do before we wrap it up. One, for some of you guys that are local, we have a hiring event for David Consulting for Thursday.
Wow.
This is a salary job, okay, for consulting, and it's sales with benefits. If you're somebody who is qualified, okay, who has 5 years of experience with sales, you've done consulting, you have an MBA, apply there. Rob, can you put the link below in the comment section so people can go to it? It'll be Thursday. Somebody from the team will reach out to see if you do qualify to come through to the property, and we'll give you a tour of the property, and there will be interviews done in the hangar. So if you're somebody that qualifies, apply your resume there. The team will get back to you, and details will be given to you as well. And last but not least, before we wrap up, we announced 2 months ago that moving forward, just like YouTube gives plaques when you cross 100,000 subs, just like Shopify gives you things, so does Monect. And we have the first 2 Monect experts, influencers, that cross 5,000 Monects. One of them I have here, which is the red Monect plaque that goes out to put on your desk. The first one goes to Thomas Ellsworth, brother, right here, 5,000 plus Monects. Tom, that's going to go with all the deal toys that you have on your wall. And the other one that we have that crossed 5,000 Monects is the one and only Vincent Oshana, my man.
Go.
Vincent Oshana, Tom Ellsworth.
Go, Vinny, go.
To all the people that use Monect, man, I absolutely am in love with this app.
Where's your
There's so many great things that's coming with it. There's so many great things that's coming with it. A lot of new updates. Monect is about to go into 140 countries here in the next few weeks. We got a massive, massive update to be announced. And a couple of the guys that won the contest for Monect, one of them was Zeus. Zeus came up to the Derby. We got him a ticket. And Timothy Ryan.
Tim Ryan.
You mean Timothy.
Tim was there. Tim Ryan
Ryan
was there hanging out at the Derby. We had a phenomenal experience.
Awesome.
Lindy Lee's been crushing it. You got Andy Elliott that crushed it, although last month Timothy Ryan beat Andy Elliott. Terrence Howard, DJ Shipley, Anna Kasparian's officially on Monect if you want to ask her questions. There's a lot of good things going on Monect. Excited about what's going on there. It's growing. It had the biggest month again in the month of April. Circles are growing. And if you watch this podcast yourself and you want to be involved in the circle, so all the notes we get, you get as well. And all the exchange and the debates and the conversations, go join Monect Circles, PBD Podcast. The QR code is there. We'll see you there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.